The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
Fun. Everybody was really having a good time.
Does Brian Albert strike you as the kind of guy who is always having fun? No. And here's a news flash for this judge. Mental health professionals have solutions.
They made an arrest. I got the guy who killed Danny.
It was like a mix between sadness and anger, because that's the moment for him when he really started to believe that his mother was involved, right? Closes his eyes because he's now remembering. There is a huge psychological component to what was going on here. And according to this group, Brian Albert Jr. gets like the most celebrated birthday hour of anybody ever. Like every 30 seconds, someone's like, happy birthday! Right? She's trying to lump Colin into that earlier group.
Somebody jumps in as a journalist, draws attention to it, in a light that is not good for the prosecution. I mean, and there are serious allegations of corruption in the DA's office and the state police.
Oh my God, it's not like his 21st birthday.
What happened outside was separate from anything that happened inside.
The most incriminating 911 call.
They're in front of his parents having text messages.
Definitely someone should give you a gun and a badge.
Horrible text messages read back as if he's the aggrieved party.
Hold on, have each of you been called murderers?
Who wants to be the one to give Matt the bad news?
I wanted to prove, or to demonstrate.
I don't know where the dog was. I didn't hear any barking. Her name is Sunny. She was named after Santino Corleone.
To the side, in the side yard.
Hey, hi everybody, there's my Johnny. Hello, that's my Johnny.
Sunny barks if you walk by my window and sneeze. You're not really going to deny this, are you?
It's so weird. It's like the Inside Out, upside down.
Narnia.
I would get at some point in a timely fashion and then turn it over.
No, if we had it enough, or we had it all, I should say.
Kill me.
Not having any observable or detectable electrical activity would be asystole.
Means death. 3 separate tab IDs. The thing he had to encourage her to do was not to testify.
You know, and Julie Albert responds to the text message from John, and she goes, "My biggest fear in life is ending up on Turtle Boy."
Stop it.
Oh, you never seen that? Oh, I gotta get you that. Let me.
No way.
Oh yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah,
no
I gotta
way.
dig that up.
God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
People are terrified of him. They're absolutely terrified of him. And how do we know that? We know that from the mega motion. Just another day for me, right? Which means it was just not an ordinary day for somebody else. Just when you thought you were out, they pull you back.
Karen Reed plots. She fabricates a conspiracy.
I am just a person who likes to understand. That's going to increase the likelihood that we're going to take some action.
Here she is.
Oh, I'm so sick.
Gotcha. Okay, so your sister.
My sister Jillian, yes.
Oh, it's funny. But then he's got part of his shirt untucked. His back pocket is kind of hanging out.
He has to buy that.
Here!
So, he has to buy that.
Here!
So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they?
Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Yes, indeedy, we do. Welcome. This is the I Don't Belong Here show, and I am your host, Samantha Benigno. I am a behavioral scientist, a career psychotherapist, a sixth-year PhD candidate in clinical psychology, a master's level psychologist and counselor. And today, we are talking about two of the biggest murder trials, probably in Norfolk County, in a very, 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 very long time. How about that? So, of course, I'm talking about Brian Walshe and the Karen Reed trials. But of course, which really to me is now seeking justice for John O'Keefe. But we are going to be hopefully digging into some testimony from the first Karen Reed trial. So I want to be fair and reference it as it should be referenced. So welcome everybody in the chat. Oh my God, Twigs, the Gemini, you're the first thing my eyes saw. Welcome everybody. Hi guys, hi Denise. I saw that Emily C was here. Hi Elizabeth. Hi Barb. Hi guys. I see Becky. Like I like see it. It goes really quick, but hi Espresso and Dr. Peppa. Oh my God. I remember that. Wasn't that a shot? Like, wasn't that Dr. Peppa? Wasn't that like an espresso and Dr. Peppa shot? There was like a shot, like a liquor shot that I remember that had those two ingredients. Welcome, everybody. So, man, it's been quite a busy few days, honestly. So when I was here on Monday night, which I wasn't sure I was going to do, it was a game time decision, literally hours before. I had said I was going to do it before Thanksgiving. I was like, all right, because I had been sick. We did it. It was a last minute thing. And we talked a little bit about Brian Walshe. And I, at that time, was seeing a lot of rumblings of people like kind of talking like maybe he didn't really kill her and maybe he didn't even dismember her. And so I was like, wait a minute. wait. Am I maybe I'm losing it, but like this seems like this is a no-brainer. And then I had done a statement analysis where it was just like very, very clear that he knew about the affair, right? And you know, this guy who seemed so clearly emasculated to me. And so I was like so confused. You guys helped me so much. You were like very reassuring. Everyone seemed actually by the end of that discussion, like we were all pretty much saying the same things. Some people think it was like very much a crime of passion, like a heated last minute, not last minute, but something without any premeditation. Others were more on the fence. But by the end of that discussion, I felt like, all right, no. I feel like we're all kind of in the same place, or at least in the same ballpark. And then, of course, the 2 days that would follow were like gigantic, enormous earthquake-like days for the prosecutor's office, for the prosecution. The second day, so yesterday was the DNA day, which I'm sure most of you saw. And that was, well, you know how DNA is, right? Juries love DNA. We all love DNA because it just seems like it just leaves so little room for error, right? It's like, well, it was Anna's DNA that was on the hacksaw. So it's like, you know, if it had just been Brian's DNA on the hacksaw, it's like, all right, maybe he just bought it, you know, just picked it up, brought it home. But with her DNA on it, it was like, you know, that was a little bit harder to sell. And then it just kept getting worse, right? Blood, there was like blood in the basement that's being tested with both of their DNA. So that yesterday was a disaster. And then today was really interesting. I actually thought today was going to be a lot more boring, and it was really, really interesting. So we're going to take a closer look at the testimony from the Brian Walshe case that ultimately wrapped up the Commonwealth's case in chief. So now, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, right? I guess going into, and I'm certainly not an attorney, so your guess is as good as mine. You know, are we going to see Brian Walshe testify? You know, I would have to think that it's going to be a game time decision, like they say. Usually they're like the last to testify because the attorneys wait till the very last minute to decide, you know, where is the case before we make that decision. We might see Michael Proctor. He's on the defense witness list. I could see that could be a strategy at this point for the defense team to try to poke holes in the investigation somehow. Hey, why not? It's as good a strategy as any at this point. Because after today was really, really interesting. Today was really, really, really interesting. Yeah, he's so guilty. so guilty. I mean, he's so guilty. He's so guilty, Judith. So very guilty. But, you started to get more information about the nuances of their relationship today. And to my point, there have been people speculating, oh, he's a narcissist. Very well could still be true. My feeling was more that this was like the other way, that he was, not that you couldn't be narcissistic and emasculated. You certainly could be both. But the read that I've been getting on this guy, and sometimes I just get feelings and I have no idea if they're true. I don't even know where I get them from. And sometimes it can be hard for me to know if I'm picking up actual real information from someplace that I came across or if it's just an instinct. I have no idea. But for a while now, my sense of Brian Walshe is that this is kind of a emasculated guy, that he's not super masculine. I mean, that's the only way to say it. And that in this relationship, he had been even less of the masculine, right? Now, I have no preference. Like, you do whatever you want to do, like I could care less what gender roles you want to embody. I'm specifically talking about the dynamic in their relationship, right? Something about speaking directly to motive. People were saying, well, it seemed like he wasn't a jealous guy. Well, I don't know, right? Like sometimes how people have to have their back up against the wall and really feel like something is a threat. For example, I wouldn't call myself particularly jealous either. And if my boyfriend was, as long as our relationship was in a really good place, he could have all the girls in the world jumping all over him. And I'd probably be like, hee, because if our relationship is in a good place, then I don't care how many people are jumping all over him. And it doesn't matter to me because I know we're good. But if I don't think we're good, and then that's happening, and then I get wind that maybe he's having an affair, so that might change things. And that's sort of what started to come about today, only much, much worse, right? With a lot more threads, complexity, and important, compelling information for a jury to hear. So we're going to take a look at that. I think it's fascinating. I also really got the sense, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, I really got the sense that Anna tried to paint him in the best possible light for as long as she possibly could. That she was kind of protecting how other people saw him a lot of the time, so much so that really close friends, she didn't tell them about the affair she was having. Even the people that she was confiding in, spending close friend time with, didn't know that they were actually having a sexual relationship. At least that is what we learned today. So we're going to take a look at that. And then I woke up this morning and immediately started texting Emily C. because I don't even remember now what inspired this. I don't even remember how it started. All I know is I picked up my phone and no, you know what it was? From the other night. So while we were underway in the middle of our live, I noticed that the text message, the screenshot of a text message that Colin Albert and Allie McCabe present during the first Karen retrial as evidence for what time Colin gets picked up. And just to backtrack, for those of you that are not as up to speed, let me backtrack a little. I am somebody who has believed for a long time that Colin probably was in the house at the time of John O'Keefe's death. Now, I am not necessarily saying that he was the one who, served up the fatal blow or that he had a motive necessarily. I'm not necessarily saying that he was the guy that did it. All I'm saying is that he was there. That I think he was there. I would say I am reasonably sure he was there. And a lot of the reason, well, there's many, many reasons. And if you saw my most recent video, you know what many of those reasons are. But while I was going through those reasons the other night, the text message, the screenshot of a text message that allegedly Allie McCabe took with her phone and then eventually hands over to her mother, who hands that screenshot over to investigators like 2 years after January 29th, which we'll get into later with Allie's testimony, is very suspect. Now, okay, of course it's suspect. Like everything they do is suspect. And a screenshot of a text message is inherently suspect. It's just absurd, right? Just turn over the metadata if you have nothing to hide. Who cares? The two of you could just turn over your phones and then you would have absolute validation of your whereabouts and two phones saying the same thing, which just makes your argument stronger. Instead, one of you turns over a text message. But I never took the time to look closely at that text message until the other night. Now, something that is also very different that you may have heard me mention, I got a much bigger screen, right? So, because like YouTube videos and like doing this with you guys was just never in my mind at any point up until it was. So it wasn't a plan. It was just something that happened. And now that I'm doing it more, I needed a bigger screen. But with a bigger screen comes being able to see things better. And so, wouldn't you know it? This screenshot is very suspect. So we are going to take a closer look at that screenshot. And I was sending that along with the AI. Emily C and I were going back and forth. She, of course, fed it into an AI. AI told her one thing. Then I was looking stuff up, and we were going back and forth trying to figure out, is this legitimate? Why not? So we're going to take a look at all of that. And that is what we are going to start doing right now, beginning with the Brian Walshe show from yesterday and today. Now, I'm going to try to jump through that to get to the good stuff as quickly as I can. But just in case you happen to miss the highlights from yesterday, I'm going to kind of like do a very, just a basic summary with some images so that you can get a good look.
A trash pull, including a hatchet and hacksaw, tools introduced as evidence today in the murder case against Brian Walshe.
That is
okay. Wait,
the handle of the hacksaw, placard number 8 at 3.
All right, so you saw the tools there. Those were from a few days back now, right? And hopefully you have seen. Let me bring this up also. Hopefully you've seen the kill suit. Here that is. So you can take a closer look at that. So this was what I call the kill suit. It has another name that I can't seem to get right. Yes. I see people talking about the dangers of AI. Absolutely. I'm with you 100%, Clayton John. Believe me, I'm a PhD candidate and I have all kinds of opinions and have seen people get into all kinds of trouble with trusting AI. So we were sort of using AI as like a challenging sounding board, I promise. For anyone listening, don't ever take the word of AI as gospel because it gets things wrong. I would argue 50% of the time. So you really got to just pull from as many sources as possible. Tyvek, thank you, the trial channel. Hi, the trial channel. Thank you for everything you do. You're the greatest ever. Tyvek, thank you. Because I called all kinds of things and I've been getting it wrong. So I really appreciate all of you with the Tyvek. So this is the Tyvek suit, which did apparently Anna's DNA, right? It was Anna's DNA was found on this suit yesterday. That was one of the things that we learned from our lovely DNA. Well, actually, I think there were 4 DNA witnesses. And I think, we've gotten a fair amount of this now across, all of the trials that we've all seen. And the DNA testimony is just too much, right? I mean, this should be like if I was a comedian on Saturday Night Live, or if there was like a true crime Saturday Night Live, this should be a skit for sure. Like, where's Vince? Because Matt Mello, 1070 cents, $50. Thank you so much, Matt Mello, for your super sticker. So this way of describing the DNA inclusions and exclusions, by the way, the exclusion was so confusing that I had to replay it like 3 times. I'm like, wait, what did you just say? Wait. So wait, is it excluded or not excluded, right? And because I was a little paranoid with, like, for example, with the sneaker in the Karen Reed trial that had 5 or more DNA profiles, so therefore it was invalid, I couldn't figure out some of the time whether these people were saying that the DNA was invalid, was excluded, was included, was more likely than not. I mean, it was insane. So, to give you an example of what I mean, we will hear from this lovely woman. Oh,
8 at 300 4th Street.
Okay.
And what was the DNA profile result for this item?
The female DNA profile was obtained originating from a single contributor.
And were you able to come to a conclusion about the comparison to the known profile of Anna Walshe?
The DNA profile from this item is at least 30 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Anna Walshe than from an unknown, unrelated individual. And this provides support that Anna Walshe is included in this DNA profile.
Now, that one was pretty straightforward. I have absolutely no idea how many zeros that actually is, a nonillion. But I'm pretty sure that means that, that it was her DNA on the hacksaw. And I included another one here, maybe 1 or 2 here. So let's hear what else she has to say.
What is item 5-1.1?
This is a sample from swabs of red-brown stain K on a basement floor in 516 Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
And what was the DNA profile result for this item?
This DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 2 contributors, including male DNA.
Were you able to come to a conclusion about the comparison to the known profile of Anna Walshe?
The DNA profile from this item is at least 15 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Anna Walshe and an unknown individual than if it originated from 2 unknown, unrelated individuals. And again, this provides support for inclusion of Anna Walshe to this DNA profile.
So,
okay,
sir,
so we're going to wait for him because he's a whole nother thing. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Very interesting cat. So when it came to the DNA, right, there is a whole different way to think about this, right? So on one hand, you could say he killed her. It made a bloody mess. One of the defense arguments was, well, there wasn't blood splatter. Okay. So I guess the argument there was like he didn't take the hammer and bludgeon her with it where blood went flying off the hammer and onto the ceiling. I know this is terrible. This is like what the conversation was yesterday. This was the argument the defense team was making. Yes, I know there was blood and there was DNA, but there wasn't blood spatter or splatter. Okay, I guess. So all right, so could we make the argument that he killed her and maybe he didn't hack the body up? The only problem with that is that he did try to get rid of evidence at all these different dumpsters. And the Commonwealth only has evidence of what they can prove, right? So we don't know if there were other dumpsters that he went to that the Commonwealth doesn't know about, right? Or if there were other drop sites that he went to that the Commonwealth didn't catch him going to. I don't know. He had very small windows of time because he was on house arrest, and we learned more about that today, which was interesting, from the probation officer. So, okay, you can argue that maybe he killed her, but he didn't he didn't hacksaw the body after the fact. Or you could make the argument the other way. She fell, I guess, and hit her head. And that bled, or I just dismembered the body and that's where the blood came from. But it's very difficult to make the argument that she just died naturally in her sleep when there's blood everywhere and DNA and, this ridiculous kill suit and a hacksaw and other very obviously, I don't even know, incriminating is the best word, I guess, items that we watch him buying at Home Depot. I mean, the guy is, he is just like, look, if this man is not guilty, he is the most unlucky son of a bitch the world has ever known, right? I mean, seriously. However, of course, we all know juries don't need motives. So maybe the affair wasn't important, right? Exactly. Okay. So, and that was my point. So I am so glad that somebody actually brought this point up. Erica B, I think. Erica B. It's like hard for me to see because this little bar is in the way of my screen. It's like a Dexter Morgan Tyvek suit. Who owns these? Exactly. Well, that was my point. Who owns these? And if you admit to getting rid of a body and your spouse, partner, wife of many years is laying next to you and they just die suddenly, you wake up, you go downstairs like we're being told, he went to the kitchen, he came back, she was just dead. Why would the first instinct that you have be to, oh my God, they're going to think I killed her, number one. And then number two, you have all these incriminating Google searches and none of them were like, has anybody ever found their spouse in this situation and not gotten in trouble? Like none of them were about somebody who just came upon their loved one dead. They were all about murder and dismemberment and, how much jail time. And like, they were just the craziest searches. And if that wasn't incriminating enough, he did them like on his kid's iPad, which makes it even worse because it looks as though he knows what he's doing, obviously is very wrong, and he should be looking for ways to try to hide that he's doing it, right? And one thing that I had been talking about, I see Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Sherry's saying, Brian Walshe obviously never ever goes to Home Depot, right? His cart does look crazy. Absolutely. In fact, we're going to take a look at that. I had that exact same thought too. I was like, God, who buys like 70 pounds of, what was it, like baking soda or baking powder? Or it was like the most incriminating cart, right? And I get it. See, this is what I was saying on Monday night. People like this, people like Brian Walshe, who do things like forge Andy Warhol paintings, in their mind, they're able, like the thing that is both a blessing and a curse for them is that they can rationalize anything that they want to do. So if they have like an objective in their mind, something that they want to do, they can find any way to make it sound like a reasonable thing to do. Well, we'll never get caught. And by the time we get caught, I'll be long gone. Like they can make any argument like sound, oh, I'll be able to talk my way out of it. And we see exactly that from him in how he spoke to investigators in this case. He tries to kind of, outwit them or talk his way out of it. And that is like, that's what people like this count on. They count on you seeing them as like harmless, you sort of seeing them in the way that they want you to see them, and so they won't get caught. Now, the only other plausible argument that I thought there might be to be made in this discussion is an argument that involves his mother for having had some part to play in the death and dismemberment of Anna. However, I think that argument has fallen completely by the wayside. But from a 360 far out view, that was the only other argument that I thought as a defense attorney that you would be able to try to insinuate to blame this on somebody that wasn't him. And well, before we get into it, let me just show you the testimony from these next couple of witnesses that I really want you to see. So this is the real estate agent that introduced Anna to William, to the guy that she ends up having the affair with. This guy, we kind of all, if you've heard at all about this trial or paid attention even on the periphery, you've heard about this guy, whether you know it or not. He was somebody that Brian Walshe met through a leadership program, like a leadership training program that he was in. Brian Walshe picks this guy to be his partner. And then eventually they become very close. He gets to know Anna also, and then hires Anna. She does such a good job that she ends up helping him to grow his business, his real estate, his part of the real estate business. And then because of that, she ends up getting hired to this big job, in Washington, D.C. And that's, how she ends up going from like hospitality and restaurant jobs to this job in DC. So this man was close to both of them. He meets Anna through Brian, but eventually through working with her every day becomes a confidant and someone who loves Anna. And it's fascinating to listen to him talk. It is also equally interesting. I think you guys will all like this. It is equally interesting to watch the attorneys. I don't want to say fight. Fight isn't the right word. Well, I'll let you be the judge of what the word is. But the attorneys are like jumping over each other to try to shut down what is coming out of some of these witnesses' mouths because, well, you tell me. And then we see the judge intervene, and all of this is pretty fascinating to watch if you like these kinds of trials. So I'm going to play some of this testimony, not all of it, but a big chunk of it so that you can get a sense for what this was all like today. It really was fascinating. And welcome to any and all new members today. Welcome, Avon Bird Lady. I tried to say too much too fast. Oh my God. Oh, wait. Okay. Wait. Welcome, Jamie Kahn. Welcome to you both. All right, here we go. I'm playing this.
Did Anna Walshe ever work for you?
Yes, she did.
When did you hire Anna Walshe to start working for you?
It was the summer of 2020.
And what was her role for you?
She was our director of operations for my team.
And your team, how large was your team at this point in time?
When she started, there were a few of us, but eventually we had 3 operators and I believe 5 or 6 agents and part-time marketing directors, etc.
And how?
Oh, this is such a great question, dawned on me. So what a great question, because all we saw through the Karen retrials was consistently people being given their police reports or their prior statements to read, but he wasn't. And I was wondering exactly the same thing. I'm sure there's an answer, but it's a really good question.
How would you characterize your relationship with Anna Walshe?
We became very close as friends.
And when did she stop working for you?
It was the spring of 2022.
Why did she stop working for you?
In the fall of 2021, she told me that she was offered a stellar job opportunity in DC. And she asked for my blessings for it.
Now, sir, when the two of you work together, how often would the two of you communicate?
Practically every day, multiple times a day.
And after she stopped working for you, how often would you communicate?
Not as frequently.
What was your relationship like with her family?
Brian and her children?
Yes, sir.
I saw them as my own.
Now, did you ever have, or your team, is probably the better way to put this, did your team ever have the opportunity to sell any properties for Anna Walshe?
Yes, we did.
Can you tell us what properties your team sold for Anna Walshe?
We sold a property in Marblehead where they were living when I met them. And then we moved them to a property in Cohasset, and then we sold that property as well. She ushered me in.
Now, when you got inside, who was home?
Brian was there.
All right. So now this is like the moment that we've kind of all been waiting for. We're trying to get a sense for what is going on in this home between these two on New Year's Eve, because clearly something is going on between Christmas Day and January 2nd, New Year's Day, basically. So we know that on Christmas Day, there's kind of like a false alarm looking for her because she was late on a flight, or a flight gets delayed, and so she doesn't get in up to see him and the kids until late on Christmas Day. And so we're going to hear more about that in just a bit. Then we know that on the 27th, he's Googling divorce. What's the best state for a man to get divorced? He's Googling Washington State, or Washington, D.C., sorry, divorce attorneys. I can speak. So we know he's got divorce on his mind on the 27th. Now, we also know that she's alive on New Year's Eve because this guy is having New Year's Eve. His celebration is with Anna and Brian Walshe and their oldest child. Now, listen to the way he describes this. I mean, this is important. To me, his testimony in combination with the cutesy Alicia, what's her name? The Kirby girl, I forget her actual name. I don't want to get it wrong. We're going to hear from her. The two of them, they really painted, I thought, a pretty fascinating and telling portrait of what is going on here.
And where were the children at this point in time?
I was told they were sleeping.
And so when you got inside, where did the three of you kind of socialize or congregate?
Sure. It was in the kitchen countertops. There was a large island.
And Ms. Gilman, could we have Exhibit 3?
Thank you. Yes, Alyssa.
Sir, can you see that screen? Showing, for the record,
yes.
Exhibit 3 is on the screen. You were nodding your head. Can you see it?
I can see it.
All right. Is that where the three of you socialized that night?
Yes.
Just as a side, did anybody see the pictures? Did they show those pictures anywhere? Because I didn't see them in whatever I was looking at. But I didn't know if maybe there was coverage somewhere that was showing the images of the kitchen. I didn't see it, but you may have.
Ms. Gilman, if you could take that down. Now, what was Anna Walshe's demeanor that night when you were in their kitchen?
Festive. Very happy to see me, and yeah.
And I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's it.
What was Brian Walshe's demeanor like while the three of you were together?
He seemed fine. He seemed happy.
And so when we were looking at Exhibit 3, where were you seated as far as being around in the kitchen?
Anna and I were seated on the stools at the kitchen. And Brian was on the other side preparing the meal and serving us drinks and food.
Okay.
All right. So picture that. This is important. So you've got Anna seated next to him. And on the other side of the kitchen kind of counter island is Brian, who's like cooking and serving the meal and preparing the food. So he's sort of hosting while the other two are, chatting and I'm not saying that they're alienating him in any way. That's not what I mean. I'm just giving you a clear mental image of the vibe. Now, remember, he's friends with both of them, and he has obvious, clear love and affection for both of them. So this has got to be a very tough spot for anyone in this position to be in, to come to try to testify at the murder trial of this man who you brought into your life. You sort of surrogate adopt his family, his wife. You do have a close relationship with her, and then she is murdered, and you emerge as the likely culprit, right? It's not good. It's not good.
Now, that night, did anyone join the three of you?
Yes.
Who joined the three of you?
Their oldest son.
And what happened?
Yeah.
What happened when he joined the three of you?
He ran to me and he said, "Jem, I haven't seen you in a while. I miss you." And he hugged me.
Now, did you take any photos with the oldest child that night?
Yes, Anna took a photo.
And that night, Anna took the photo. What did she use to take the photo?
I believe it was her cell phone that she used.
And so that night with her cell phone, could you see her doing anything with her cell phone?
She was texting folks.
And do you know who she was texting?
Well, I do know that she had either received a text message or was texting back with Abdullah. And I believe she said, "Let's take a photo for Will and send it to Will Fastow." And I believe she was texting with Emily, and it would have been maybe a bunch of other friends, who were texting her. It was New Year's Eve. A lot of messages back and forth.
So maybe I'll let this run and then I'll go back and mention this.
How long was their oldest child with you that night?
I'm going to say a half hour, maybe a little more. I believe she was texting Will Fastow, and I believe she may have been texting Emily, a mutual friend.
So to answer the question, Clayton John, about why he's crying is because he was very close to Anna. I mean, he's crying here as he rethinks back on specifically her children or their children, because he thought of them as his family. And basically what it sounds like is Brian Walshe had a very young family at the time that he met Jem. And the two of them were going through this like intensive leadership training. If you've ever done anything like that, let's say like Landmark, anybody ever done Landmark in the chat? Imagine going through that, and then you become friends after your Landmark experience, and then and really good friends. He ends up, both buying, selling their home for them, and then helping them to buy another home, and then selling that home, I think. he introduces Anna to to Will, the guy she ends up, having the affair with. So he became like really close to both of them and their children also. Like I said, I think he would have been, timing wise, the family would have been just starting at the time that he met Brian Walshe.
And other people were texting her. It was New Year's Eve, so there was a lot of back and forth texting. Yeah.
And how do you know this from New Year's Eve? What did you see, or what did you experience on New Year's Eve that lets you know this?
I was sitting right next to her at the kitchen table.
And did she ever say, now the three of, did you ever
Kitchen
take?
counter.
Kitchen counter.
Yeah.
Did you ever?
Stools on the counter there?
Totally.
Yes, there were stools on the counter.
And were you and Anna seated on
the same side. On the
Okay.
same side. I was seated here and she was to my left.
directly side by side?
Directly side by side.
Did she ever show you her phone that night? When she was sitting with you there?
She had her phone with her. She took a picture of us that night. Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank
So how interesting was that? When I first saw that exchange, I kept thinking, wait, is the jury out of the room? Because I hadn't remembered a time where I had seen a judge turn so directly to a witness to ask them in such depth a sequence of very specific questions like that in front of a jury. But the jury was in the room, and so that is exactly what she did. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to get at how much of this is what she told you, how much of this is what you extrapolated from what she told you, how much are you misremembering? Like, everybody's trying to sort through what these witnesses really heard her say versus what they're kind of ad-libbing, what their vibe was that they experienced or picked up on. And I thought he actually did a pretty good job at the end of it all of clarifying himself. And then, yes, as many people in the chat are pointing out, they had his statements, with the police immediately following the event. Why didn't somebody just give it to him to clarify for himself? It's a good question.
See, or what did you experience on New Year's Eve that lets you know this?
I was sitting right next to her at the kitchen table.
And did she ever say, now the three of, did you ever
Kitchen
take?
counter.
Kitchen counter.
Yeah.
Did you ever?
Stools on the counter there?
Yes, there were stools on the counter.
And were you and Anna seated on
the same side. On the
Okay.
same side. I was seated here and she was to my left.
directly side by side?
Directly side by side.
Did she ever show you her phone that night? When she was sitting with you there?
She had her phone with her. She took a picture of us that night. Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. With the picture, do you remember who she sent it to that night? Not, and this is what I'm really going to focus you, sir, is that night, not what people told you afterwards. Do you have a memory of who she may have sent the picture you took with her that night?
I believe that she said, let's take a picture and send it to Will Fasto.
Mm-hmm.
And, sir.
Out loud, she said that?
I believe so. I believe she said that to me that night. Let's take a picture out loud. Yes, let's take a picture and send it to Will Fasto.
Oh, okay. Okay, so wait. So there was a voir dire. So I'm glad because I didn't see that. That must have gotten cut out of whatever of the footage that I was watching it back on. So I was like, wait a minute, I've never seen this before. But in whatever I had been watching this playback on, there was no clear delineation made between the jury and the jury in the room and out of the room. So I didn't see that. And I was like, I guess the jury was there because it wasn't clearly articulated. So that's really interesting. But here's the most important moment. It's a really quick second, but you do hear it, and here it is.
Do you ever
Kitchen counter.
Kitchen counter.
Yeah.
Did you ever?
Stools on the counter there?
Yes, there were stools on the counter.
And were you and Anna seated on
the same side. On the
Okay.
same side. I was seated here and she was to my left.
directly side by side?
Directly side by side.
Did she ever show you her phone that night? when she was sitting with you there?
She had her phone with her. She took a picture of us that night. Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. With the picture, do you remember who she sent it to that night? Not, and this is what I'm really going to focus you, sir, is that night, not what people told you afterwards. Do you have a memory of who she may have sent the picture you took with her that night?
I believe that she said, let's take a picture and send it to Will Fasto.
And, sir.
Out loud, she said that?
I believe so. I believe she said that to me that night. Let's take a picture out loud. Yes, let's take a picture and send it to Will Fasto.
Now, the thing about this is, if the jury hears that statement by itself, whether or not it was indeed, in fact, the most important thing that did send, Brian Walshe over the edge or not, if a jury hears that statement, I mean, that is a game-crushing, game-over statement for Brian Walshe from my perspective, right? Because now they have heard her in an excited way turn to their mutual friend, right? And say, oh, let's take a picture for Will. He, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, their marriage is in big trouble. They are, he's on house arrest. She just purchased her own townhome in DC, with her name on it herself. He is not on the title, whatever it's called. He's not on it, right? It's her home, technically, on paper. And she wants to try to bring the 3 kids. So, right, it's not a good situation for him. And we then learn increasingly how bad of a situation it is for him as this day, goes on until the very end. So I think Jem was like the first of many nails in the coffin today, but a big nail in the coffin for him. And then the last witness was the other, to me, very significant nail in the coffin. In addition to obviously the DNA and the hacksaw and the dumpster footage and everything else that is just so incriminating for this guy.
Again, I do not remember it with precision, but I do remember the picture being taken. Yeah.
And sir, is it fair to say that along the lines of that statement, you told that to me yesterday at lunch? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Had you told me that before, to your memory?
I do not recall.
What did she tell you as far as problems she was having in this conversation on December 29th?
While I don't remember the specific words that were spoken after 3 years,
yes, sir,
I will tell you that she did say that at the time that they were having marital problems.
Objection, Your Honor. Characterization.
All right. I'll strike the characterization. Why don't you approach it a different way?
I will. What did she tell you as far as traveling back and forth?
That it was taking a toll on her, that she wasn't, that obviously as a mother, not seeing her children.
Your Honor, objection. Move to strike.
We sure do.
Seen at sidebar. So I want to ask you.
All right. So we're going to skip ahead now. This was the probation officer talking about the, limitations on his house arrest. This is him in and out of his shopping excursions, right? Here's like the Home Depot shopping cart. One of the big thing here for me that I thought was just funny was the big giant bag of baking soda, and the Commonwealth points it out largely because there was that white powder all over the evidence. And so they're just trying to write, connect all the dots. And so the prosecutor makes a big deal about the 120-pound bag of baking soda that he buys or
On
whatever.
A&H
Some
baking
giant
soda,
bag of baking
what is
soda.
that?
That is a 12-pound bag of baking soda.
There it is. So he makes a joke about how funny it is that I didn't even know you could buy a 12-pound bag of baking soda, at Home Depot. To try to, I assume, make it stick in the mind of the jurors. And again, you're just, connecting all the dots. But this is the last thing I want us to take a look at. And this is the thing that I thought was this was so interesting. Just as a person who's only ever thinking in terms of psychology, this woman was interesting in many ways.
And were you familiar with Anna and Brian Walshe?
Yes.
And how were you familiar with the Walshes?
We were friends. I was introduced through my brother and sister-in-law.
And what's your brother's name?
Peter Kirby.
And so how would you characterize your relationship with Anna Walshe?
Yeah. Anna and I quickly became really close friends. And yeah, we were new best friends, we called it. And we spent a lot of time together. We just kind of clicked like sisters.
And when did you become so close?
Shortly after she moved to Washington, D.C. and lived nearby.
So you said she lived nearby?
Yes.
Can you tell us how far she lived from you?
About 5 minutes around the corner, 5-minute walk.
And how often would you see her when once she moved to Washington, D.C.?
I would say we planned to try to see each other about once a week. It wasn't always that, but about that.
And how often would you communicate with her?
Similarly, about once a week, or when she would come back to D.C., we'd talk about when we could meet up and hang out.
And did you know Will Fastow?
I knew of him, yes.
And how did you know of Will Fastow?
Shortly after I started spending more time with Anna, she would talk to me about him as the man who sold her house, but then her interest in him and just hearing a lot about him as a person.
So interesting. This comes out later. This girl who becomes Anna's fast and furious, BFF in Washington, D.C., lives around the corner, right? She never tells her that she's having a sexual relationship with Will. She refers to him as her crush and reports to this lady that Brian knows about the crush. Okay. It also comes out that her and Brian have not had a sexual relationship, Anna and Brian, for at least a year. Okay. So that's the other thing that she brings out here. And again, this all speaks to, obviously, he's guilty, right? So the question is, what the hell is really going on? That's the only question I ever have about this is what really happened, right? And why? And so if you want to know who is this freaking guy and why did he kill her, this witness, in addition to Jem, but this witness basically, to me, served it all up, really unwittingly. I'm not even sure she knows that she did, but to me, she served it all up. And it's very short. We're not going to be on this much longer.
And what did she tell you about him?
She told me of that she was interested in him, that she had a crush on him, but it was a lot more talk about their connection and I guess what she wanted to have happen with him and just her interest.
And what did she tell you about telling Brian Walshe about this crush on Will Fastow?
She told me that she was open with Brian about her crush on Will and that he knew.
In Christmas of 2022, did you have communication with Brian Walshe on that day?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
Brian called me that day, and because he rarely or almost never called me, I answered, and he was looking for Anna because he said he hadn't heard from her. And so because she lived around the corner, I offered to go over there and check on her.
And what happened?
That's really interesting. So the word crush was thrown around a lot. I wonder if it had different meaning in Serbian. That's hilarious. I don't think so. I think the confusion is that Anna, when you when you have a crush, I mean, truly, when a 7th grade crush. All you want to do is talk about that person to everybody, and you like find reasons to talk about them. It's almost like if your partner comes home from work and starts talking about the new person at work, and they keep talking about it, and it happens to be, an attractive, someone that they are also attracted to. It's like this, like she just wants to talk about him. She likes him. And the way she's talking about it with this girl is that it's just it's a crush. Like it's harmless. Even Brian knows about it. The problem is it's not harmless. It is a sexual relationship. But Anna's trying to protect Brian from finding that out. So she's not telling anybody. She's not telling her friends. She's not telling her confidants. She's not telling anyone that they're actually having a sexual relationship. She's just telling everybody how much she likes him, how she has this crush on him, and how it's, innocent, right? It's halfway to explain why she's gallivanting around the town on his sailboat and in his yoga class and, right, like out to dinner and at networking functions with him.
Did you go over and check on her?
As I was getting ready to go, he had messaged me back that he had gotten in touch with her.
So when you say that you had talked to him first and offered to check on her, did you do that in text, on the phone, or something else?
I believe that first time was a phone call, and then later was a text message.
And do you remember what time of day that phone call was?
Not exactly, but maybe, I feel like it was noon or early afternoon.
Okay. And what was his demeanor when you spoke to him on the phone?
That day, I think he was worried or a little bit nervous.
And approximately how long was it after you had spoken to him that he texted you?
I think it was within like 10 minutes because I was getting ready to go, and it was fast enough that I hadn't left yet.
All right. So something interesting. The only reason why I included this is because on Christmas Day, there is like a 10-minute period. It's no more than 10 minutes, maybe a few hours, where Anna goes, she's missing, not missing, but he can't reach her. And he gets so panicked about it that he tries to find her by contacting, friends, this woman included. So part of me wondered, is this where he got the idea to say she was missing? Because he actually did, only a few days earlier, actually think, oh my God, where is she? I can't find her, and pick up the phone and try to find her. So there's that. And then there's this other thing she's going to mention here.
And did you speak with Anna Walshe that day on Christmas Day?
Yes.
And when did you speak with Anna Walshe that day?
It was much later that day in the afternoon. I was already with family for the holiday, and she called me as she was driving up to Massachusetts.
And what was her demeanor when she called you?
She was very upset.
And when you say very upset, can you describe that?
Yeah, she was angry, and she was upset that Brian would have called me that day because, she said that she'd only not spoken to him for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. It really hadn't been that long. And, there was already some strife. And then she had...
Disdained, non-responsive. I'll strike the last part. Ask the next question.
Certainly. So how long did you speak with her for that day?
Maybe like 20 minutes.
And did you arrange to see her again?
Yes.
And when did you plan to see Anna Walshe?
I can't remember exactly when we planned it, but I know we had planned a day to get together right before New Year's to kind of see each other, hang out, catch up, and celebrate like a New Year's together.
And did you see her to have that celebration?
Yes.
And what day was that you saw her to have that celebration?
I believe it was the 29th.
And that was the 29th of what month?
Of December.
Of 2022.
Correct.
And where did you go?
To be clear about this, just so this is clear. So she goes up from DC to Massachusetts. She's Christmas Day. She starts the day in Washington, DC. Then by the end of the day is in Massachusetts. By the 29th, she's back in Washington, D.C. having a 6-hour bar karaoke dancing thing with her friend to celebrate New Year's. And then by New Year's Eve, she's back in Massachusetts. So talk about traveling. I mean, that is insane. That's a crazy turnaround, right? Like anyone's going to get a little nuts going back and forth with that level of frequency. I mean, that's crazy. And that's during the holidays.
We went a few places. We started at the bar that was across from where we lived that we'd been to a few times. And then we later went out to a karaoke dancing bar.
And how long did you stay out that night?
Like 6 hours.
So what was her demeanor that night?
So that night, because of what happened after Christmas, she was really upset. She was she was kind of breaking down because everything had been really hard, which Anna was always a very strong person, so that was very unusual for her. And she was just really upset about so much. She really hit a breaking point. And yeah, we talked about a lot of things because she was so upset.
Ms. Kirby, can you tell me what she was upset about?
She was primarily upset about her and Brian's relationship, about being so far away from the kids, and feeling like she was upset having found out that the federal case was delayed, or she thought that the federal case was delayed by Brian, and that she just really wanted to be with her kids. Their marriage had been really strained for a long time, and she told me how like upset she was and how frustrating that was, and how she was really at a breaking point.
Jurors, I'm going to remind you that the statements that are being offered with regard to Anna Walsh's state of mind.
Right. So this goes back and forth because she keeps saying she felt like, instead of just saying exactly what she told her.
State of mind evidence includes statements describing the defendant's federal case. Anna's statements are admitted only to show the defendant's motive and not to show that he had a bad character or propensity to commit any criminal offense. You may proceed.
Thank you. Had you seen her like this before?
No. Anna was usually someone very, very happy, very joyful, very strong.
Okay, no characterizations, just your observations. Next question.
When talking, did she use specific words about what she had said to the defendant? What she had said to Brian Walshe about the legal case?
What she told me about that was that she was upset because she wanted him to take responsibility. She wanted their family together. She wanted that whole process to be over, and she wanted him to be responsible, be accountable, and do whatever he had to do to keep their family together.
And what did she mean? What did she tell you that she meant by the word responsibility?
Yeah, at that point in time, responsibility was potentially just taking jail time and admitting wrongdoing and just owning a mistake, and so that their family, that she would be waiting for them and that their family could be together.
Did she give you specifics of what she had told you about the amount of time?
I think it was all an estimate, but at the time she thought maybe a year.
What did she tell you?
Let me just bring everybody up to speed as to what's happening right now, why it's important. So here's what we now learn from this woman. On 12/25, they are arguing, and Anna is frustrated because, well, I'm going to give you stuff you may not know yet, but Brian calls Anna all day long. And she was so frustrated, like, God, I can't even be away from you for a half hour. If I go dark for a half hour, you're calling my friends looking for me? Like, enough already, right? So she was angry at him. And she was angry at him because he turns to her all the time. That's what this witness winds up disclosing, although it comes out, like everything in these kinds of trials, takes forever to pull out of these witnesses, and there's lots of BS in between. So basically what we learn is Anna's at her wit's end. Her friends had never seen her like this. By the 27th, so she goes home back to Massachusetts on the 25th, angry, tired, saying to her friends, I just wish he would man up already, take the goddamn year, take the hit, and move on. Enough trying to avoid jail. Okay? So by the 27th, remember, he's looking for divorce attorneys. At that point, she goes back down to Washington, to DC, because she's hanging out with her on the 27th. And while she's there, she's bleeding her heart out to this friend of hers about the relationship between Brian. Now, this girl does not know about the affair with William. So she's not talking about William in a serious way, she's talking about Brian and the serious problems in their marriage. She also discloses they haven't had sex in a year. And why not? Well, largely because Brian's either depressed, doesn't feel like it, or she's depressed and doesn't feel like it. Meanwhile, she's saying she's tired, right? She's always traveling and she's just exhausted and she's had enough. However, as I've seen people pointing out in the chat already, she was clearly not tired enough to carry on a sexual relationship with another man, right? So she wasn't that tired. No matter how much she was working, and allegedly she's working day and night and she's traveling all the time and has time to have a full-on sexual relationship and romantic affair with another man. Okay. I'm not necessarily judging her for that. I'm just explaining there's a contradiction in there. So that's where we're at. And then there's like a few more details I want you guys to get or hear.
You about the physical separation and her family staying together.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask that well. What did she tell you about being in different states and what that physical separation might mean?
Yeah, that it was really difficult for the family, but that also, because of how difficult things were, she was contemplating what that could mean legally being able to take her children to Washington, D.C. And also the physical separation from a husband was very difficult for her.
What, if anything, did she tell you about having established a separate household?
Oh, that she had told me that everything was set up in her name, the house in Washington, D.C., and the bills where everything was in her name. So she was trying to figure out a way that she could have the kids with her in D.C.
What, if anything, did she tell you about her intimate relationship with Brian Walshe?
She told me that, aside from everything being really difficult, that they had not been intimate in a really long time, like maybe over a year, I think she had said.
And what did she tell you as to why?
She said it was because that Brian had been really depressed and that the strain of the case had really just taken a toll on his mental health and their marriage, and that she felt also that that her energy was being really drained.
Was she specific about what she meant by her energy being drained?
Yeah, at that time, she was saying that Brian was calling her several times a day, that she felt physically and emotionally exhausted traveling back and forth from D.C. to Massachusetts. There was just a lot on her body, mind, soul, and spirit. And that, that also just like emotionally feeling like she had to be the strong one was very draining for her. Emotionally feeling like she had to be the strong one was very draining for her.
So there it is, right? Like, it's one thing when you slowly emerge as the strong one in your relationship, right? And then all of a sudden, that's fine. You kind of wear the pants and you're used to wearing the pants and you're the dominant one and you wear the pants and you make the money and you pay the bills and okay, right? I mean, Brian obviously brought something to the table, so I'm not saying that he was useless entirely, right? I mean, he was obviously a homemaker in some capacity. He was cooking for them and hosting, and so I'm sure I'm not saying he was a useless person. I'm just suggesting that everybody seems to agree that she was sort of, at this point, dominant in the relationship. But then all of a sudden, another man comes along, and he's capable. He pays his own bills. He makes his own money. He's not on house arrest. He has his own family. He's protective of his kids. He didn't want to introduce Anna to those children because he didn't want to screw up his own kids, right? So he was evidencing masculine, dominant qualities, right? Not to mention they're having a sexual relationship, which she hasn't had with anybody for a year. Hello, this is actually her husband, who she's supposed to be having that kind of relationship with, right? So so the idea that the defense was suggesting that like they were having asphyxia was a part of their sexual relationship, I think you can pretty much check that one off the list. This is not that kind of guy. Like that's just not that's not what was happening here, right? And then there's the final blow. To me, if the jury didn't hear this, I don't know, they're asleep. Like, because to me, this woman says one more thing, and to me, it was like very clear what has happened here, very clear why it happened, and that he is very guilty and probably going to spend the rest of his life in prison. That is what I heard from this. Here it is.
What did she tell you about Brian and his mother?
Well, this isn't it. Something interesting, though.
She had always said that.
Your Honor, objection. I'll see you at the side of the bench.
This is how Brian...
Ms. Kirby, in this conversation on December 29th, what did she tell you about Brian and his mother and a psychic?
She told me that Brian had told her that his mom went to a psychic and that the psychic had said that she was having an affair. And that night she told me how ridiculous that was and how like she was very upset by that. And she'd always felt that Brian's mom didn't like her and that it was scary.
Did she say why? Why that was scary?
Yeah, I think because she always...
Objection as to, I think. Yes, sustained.
Did she say why? Not your opinion, just did she say why in that conversation?
Yes, what she said as to why was that she felt like his mom never really liked her and never like wanted her in the picture, basically.
So we can
Ms.
pretty
Kirby, do you
much all
recognize that
agree
picture?
that psychic is code word for private investigator. Brian, that's a great question. I see some, we just went too quickly, but Brian and Anna got together working. I'm not sure exactly what their positions were, but they were both in hospitality at a place called Wheatley in Lenox, Massachusetts. It's like I guess the best way to say it is like a wellness, very, very fancy wellness center. I'm not describing it well. Look up Wheatley in Massachusetts, and that's where they met, working.
Yes. Can you tell me who's that a picture of?
Picture of me and Anna.
And when was that picture taken?
That night we went out on the 29th.
I'm sorry, did you say that was the night from the 29th? That was during that night of December 29th.
Anna's a really very
I think you were filming,
attractive
you can take
woman, right?
Did you see Anna Walshe after the evening of December 29th into December 30th, because you said you were out late, of 2022?
No.
And when did she leave for Massachusetts?
She left that next day on the 30th.
And when did you expect her to return to Washington, D.C.?
I think she had said like the 3rd or 4th. It was a few days after New Year's. She was planning to come back.
Of January?
Correct.
Okay. And when was the last time that you communicated with Anna Walshe?
Right after midnight on New Year's Day.
And after that exchange with Anna Walshe on New Year's Day, right after midnight, did you get text from Brian Walshe?
Yes,
Absolutely.
on the 2nd.
Your Honor, I'd ask to get an exhibit and then approach.
You may.
Okay, here we go. I'm fast forward.
Later.
Who cares?
At this point.
Well, we can stop the publication. I'm sorry.
Sustained.
So just tell me what you did. What did you do?
Oh, after the text message, I called my brother and...
That's fine. That's all. And then what did you do after calling your brother? Did you speak with Brian Walshe at some point on the phone?
I did, but I don't remember if it was later that day or the next day on the phone.
And who was on the phone with Brian Walshe?
There were some calls that was just me and Brian, and there was one call with Brian and his mother.
And what was the call with Brian and his mother like?
Well, his mother was pretty combative. I think she sounded...
You approach sidebar? Yes.
For just a moment, on the 29th, did Anna ever tell you how Brian reacted to his mother saying, the psychic saying that she was having an affair?
Yeah, she told me that he thought it was equally as crazy, or that was what he said to her.
So the truth is, he may never have even... They could have had a very big fight, and Brian may never have even brought up the fact that he knew about the affair definitively. Just FYI, they could have... So what comes out here is that they could have had a fight that had nothing to do with her having an affair, but he knew about it, if that makes sense.
Can you tell me how you recognize that jacket?
As Anna's jacket, one that she wore.
Your Honor, I'd ask that this be the next exhibit.
All right. And
yes.
When she was down there, you guys would try to see each other about once a week?
Yeah.
Okay. And while she was down there, she was working for Tishman's Fire?
Yes.
And obviously you would text or talk on the phone sometimes during the week?
Yes.
And sometimes go for coffee walks around the neighborhoods?
Not coffee, but often walks or we would meet up. Yeah.
I'm imposing my own desire in that. Okay. And her work schedule was pretty demanding while she was down in DC.
Yes.
And it wasn't uncommon that she would work until 7 or 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah, that was what she would tell me, yes.
Okay. And then on top of that, she was flying back and forth to Boston on Thursdays or Fridays and returning on Sunday nights or Mondays?
Yeah, often Mondays and then returning Thursday or Friday.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about that Christmas Day phone call from Mr. Walshe.
Okay.
You had mentioned that it was not common or out of the ordinary for him to have called you.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you described him on that call as nervous and worried, right?
Yes.
And this was Christmas Day?
Yes.
And I think you told us it was about noon or a little bit past noon when he had reached out to you?
Mm-hmm.
And what he said is that he and the boys were expecting her home for Christmas and he hadn't heard from her.
What I recall he said was just asking me if I had heard from her because he hadn't heard from her.
Okay. And because of that nervousness or worry in his voice, you actually offered to go swing by her house to see if she was there.
Yeah, I thought that she was already back home for Christmas, and so that worried me, so I offered to go over.
Okay. And I think you said within 10 or 15 minutes he actually reached out to be like, we're good. She reached out to me. She's okay.
He said he'd heard from her.
Okay. You had told us that you had also spoken to Anna on the 25th on the telephone?
Yes.
And you were telling us that she was angry and upset that Mr. Walshe had called you.
Yes, she was angry that, he had bothered me that day with that because she felt it had not been that long since they had spoken.
Okay. So it was Christmas Day and she was upset that he bothered you on a holiday and that he worried you. You had mentioned that Anna had a friend named William Fastow?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you told us that she shared with you that she had a crush on him.
Yes.
And she told you that she told her husband that she had a crush on him.
Yes.
And that Anna, when she was talking about sharing that with her husband, that they always had an open, honest relationship.
Yes, that was what she said.
Okay. And in that conversation, when she was telling you about how she had told her husband about having a crush on Will, that Brian wasn't the jealous type.
When she told me that, I was surprised, and she said that was their relationship. They were open and that he wasn't jealous.
And not only was he not jealous, that she kind of wished he was a little more jealous.
I think in the way that a wife would want a husband to be protective, yes.
Okay. And during the time you were friends in D.C. with Anna, and during these conversations, she never told you that she was having a romantic relationship with Will Fastow?
Not specifically, no. We talked a lot about Will, but not that anything had ever actually happened.
Okay. So you believe that they had a connection and she had a crush, but she never told you that they had been romantic or intimate?
Correct.
I think you had said that during this conversation on the 29th, Anna had said that lately she was just feeling drained of energy, right?
Drained of energy just due to everything going on, yeah.
Okay. And she had also told you that she was someone that would stay up late and get up early in the morning, right?
I think she kept a busy schedule, not that she specifically always stayed up late and got up early, but that, she was doing a lot, and she just was a very energetic, passionate person.
And towards the end of December, there was a shift. There was a change in that.
Yes.
And she told you that she was falling asleep earlier and getting up later, and that was unusual for her.
Yeah, that she was really just starting to be sad, and everything was taking a toll on her. Yeah.
Okay. And it was, when she was reporting this to you, she was talking about how even sleep, that she was falling asleep earlier. Falling asleep earlier in the night. She was sleeping later in the morning than she usually would.
I don't recall that exactly, just that she said that she felt so tired and burnt out.
Okay. You had mentioned that you had plans to get together on 12/29, but you also had plans to go out on December 20th, the week before.
I don't think I remember that exactly.
Okay.
But we often would try to make plans and then things would shuffle, so.
Okay. The plans I'm talking about on the 20th, she had canceled because she wasn't feeling well.
Right, yes.
Okay. You shared with us during that long night out with Anna that the two of you were talking a lot about how it was difficult that she was away from her family. Yes?
Yes, okay.
I apologize. And she told you that she said to Brian, you need to resolve this. Even if you go to jail, we'll be here for you when you get out.
She didn't specifically say like this, then this. It was more like a conversation about taking responsibility, accountability, what that would mean, that could mean just owning it and taking.
So this is really important. Because, right, here the defense is trying to make the point that the insinuation by Anna was just go to jail for, take the hit and we'll be here when you get home. But that's not what happens. That's not what this friend tells us, right? So, and then because this defense attorney keeps pushing, something else comes out, which is really, to me, the nail in the coffin on what happened to Anna.
The jail time, if that was what, because the sentencing hadn't happened, so we didn't know exactly what it would be, but that was something she wanted for him to take care of their family in that way, just take responsibility, have it be done.
And I think you told us earlier on direct that she said to him, we'll be there even if that happens, meaning her and the boys.
And I don't think she said that directly. It was more like communicating to me that she wanted their family to be together, even if that meant jail time. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think they were still figuring out like what to do. They'd been living apart, and she wasn't sure what would happen.
And so what you're telling us is that she wanted her family together, and that she wanted him to do whatever it took so that her and Brian and the boys could be together.
Yeah.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Ms. Kirby, did she want her family together?
Objection, Your Honor.
She stated it. She can answer it. So rephrase the question.
On December 29th, did she tell you, did she want her family together?
I think.
Objection, Your Honor.
All right, listen to the question. Answer the question if you can.
This poor girl.
On December 29th, what did she tell you about if she wanted her family together?
She said that she wanted her family together. She also was exhausted and not really sure what to do, but I think she wanted her.
As to I think. All right. Sustained.
On December 29th, what did she tell you about if she loved the defendant, Brian Walshe?
She told me that he would often not tell her he loved her and would always ask her how much she was in love with him, and that she told me that this time she answered not as much because of everything that had happened. And yeah, that she was falling out of love, and also that she wanted, I think she saw.
Objection, Your Honor. As
Again,
I think she saw.
I know it's a long time ago, but it has to be the statement she made to you, not what you think or what you understood from it. It's statements that she made to you.
Okay, sorry.
And on December 29th of 2022, how did she physically appear to you?
Tired.
All right, so that's it. I mean, we now have the full picture of what has happened to Anna Walshe. So as I was saying, yes, people are not jealous, secure people are not jealous, provided that the relationship is healthy and happy. But if your partner turns to you and says, no, I don't feel that way anymore. Like whatever reassurance they used to give you consistently all the time, always and always and always, now they're singing a different tune. Your mother is doing, surveillance on your wife in DC, finds out she's cheating. So you know that she's having an affair. You're on house arrest. Now your wife is telling you, take the year in jail so we can be together, or really so I can have the boys in DC, a house that is not in his name. It's in her name. She's trying to find a way to move and shake to get her sons back with her in DC. You see what's happening? What's happening here is all of a sudden, Brian Walshe is very aware that she and they, like in a matter of seconds, could be moving on without him, right? That she is moving on. That like the current is kind of like sweeping him by. And his life is like flashing, right, between his eyes. He considers divorce on the 27th, right? And by the time, whatever happened on New Year's Eve, it emerges into the loss of her, the end of her life. And to me, it's not just the affair. It's the fact that she's had enough of this. She's had enough of him. She's had enough of him not being the man she wants him to be. And he's finally completely emasculated. The one thing he thought he had was her unconditional love. And now that's gone too, right? So now he also has this it sounds like dominating mother figure. That's a whole nother thing. And we could spend another year talking about that. We won't. But to me, this case is in the bag. It's done. I no longer have any questions about what has happened and why. This ended it for me. Now, look, could the defense come along and present an amazing case? Probably not. I am curious to see if Michael Proctor presents himself. That would be interesting, certainly compelling. and always helpful testimony for all of us trying to solve the other more important case. And if we get to hear Brian Walshe testify, that would be a fun exercise, right? Just kind of fun. Because it's always fun. Why not? But to me, this, like I said, this case is over in terms of the suspense, in terms of why, what happened, exactly how it happened, what happened, who was where, when. To me, that has left the building with these two main witnesses, and of course with the obvious, logistical evidence, the DNA, the Home Depot excursions, and the dumpster trips, everything else. So that is that. And yes, certainly coming off of these two Karen Read trials, these epic challenges, these epic, battles of the century type trials, these trials, I will say it's almost like watching like a baseball game you don't care about. Like, it's easier to watch because the anxiety is not so intense. And sometimes that's like a night. Like, I like the game of baseball, so I like watching a baseball team I don't care about, right? Like, I can't, maybe football is a better metaphor because football is just inherently a more exciting game for most people. Baseball, most people don't have any interest in at all. Football can hold your interest, but if it's my football team, I can't even tolerate the anxiety. It's too high. It's so high that if I don't think my team has like a 50% chance of winning, I don't even watch it. And I'm a Jets fan, so that shows you how that's going for me. So anybody have any questions about that? I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, I am not an attorney. I was trying to bring up the first degree murder comment. You just passed by so quickly. I hate when that happens. But I mean, I kind of would say it's very possible. Now, I don't think that's even what he's being charged with. What is the murder charge? It's second degree, I thought. But yes, I don't know. When exactly did it get into his head to murder her? I think we'd have to know more about this guy. I'd have to know more about who he is as a person. Right? And like, what degree is he a narcissist? Like, to what degree? I have to know more about mom and mom's role in all of this. But at the end of the day, this is a tragic story. Like, Anna Walshe seemed like a really lovable, awesome person. And she seemed like she was just getting her feet really underneath her solidly. At 39 years old with 3 young children, right? She's just getting going. And that's unfortunately where this man elected to take her from the world, which is just, he should pay for it, no matter whether it's for a second, third, whatever degree, he needs to go to prison. It's very, very sad. All right. So unless you have questions, certainly, of course, you can always ask them anytime or bring them up at any point. But I think I want to show you this text message. I want to get your opinions on it. Before I show you the screenshot of a text message that was presented in in both Karen Read case trials, because this came from allegedly Allie McCabe taking a screenshot of a text exchange with her pseudo cousin Colin. A few things I want you to keep in mind. Okay, so a few things I want you to consider as I show you this. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger for you. That really didn't do anything. Now, remember a few things. Number one, this would have been the iOS 15 software. Specifically, if she had updated her phone by January 28th, then it was the software update 15.3. But because it would have been the third iteration of that software update, it's pretty safe to say it would have been the iOS 15 software update, because that would have had come a few months prior. So just keep that in mind. Some things might jump out at you right away. There's definitely enough here to for all of us to go around. Plenty of sus to go around. But I would definitely take a close look at it. Now, I had never done that before. Why, I don't know. I guess I just, it's like, why give something is probably fake any attention? I just hadn't realized the degree to which it very likely would have been fake. For example, let's just look at the proportions on this photo. Just look at the proportions on the photo. Okay. So for example, look at the text, the you in you can text. Then look directly above that and look at ALLIE. Right? Also note that unless I am really, really crazy, generally speaking, when you submit, so like when you put in your contact, it shows up underneath the circle where there's sometimes a photo and sometimes a letter, just centered underneath. That's just another, noteworthy, small, but maybe insignificant detail. The other thing that is odd about this is that, well, we're going to watch that part now, but you will note that we are told the screenshot was submitted by Allie first, but then also, according to the Q&A with Colin sends a screenshot to his dad, and his dad eventually, allegedly, maybe makes that screenshot available to investigators, like 2 years later. So it's very unclear where this screenshot really came from and when and from who, right? Now, I also would just offer this, like, knowing, just because of Colin's award-winning personality and everything you've seen from him, do you think, is it just throwing it out there, do you think he might have had, let's say, his cousin in his phone under Allie? Might it have been spelled a different way? Might it have been spelled incorrectly? Might it have been under some other version of whatever he calls her? But I have a hard time believing that if I was to open Colin Albert's phone, Allie McCabe is listed under Allie, ALLIE. Just saying. Just saying. And of course, if it's from her, if it's her phone, right, then it probably doesn't say her name at the top of the text exchange. So these are just like, those are just obvious, let alone things like, let's say, for example, you may note that the way that each bubble has a timestamp next to it on the right. You might want to look back on some of your earlier text conversations to determine whether they appear that way. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Just saying. Now, I only showed this very top part here because I wanted to be able to show you, even on a small device, the font. But if we had seen all of the screen, the little bubbles, which you can look at, probably Google very easily, you'll also probably, be able to easily see that, well, you tell me. I guess what I would draw your attention to is, how does your phone, if you have an Apple phone, how does the phone show up? How does your text exchanges show up when you are texting from one day into the next? So from midnight on one day into the early morning hours of the next. What happens? Does anything happen? Does it designate a change in the day or date, right? Does it go from PM to AM? Well, if you drag it and then screenshot it while it's dragged, then it'll show up with times on the side. That's right. That's very true. Yes, correct. However, these types of questions are not, nobody helps us to understand whether or not we're supposed to believe that that is what has happened here, or if this is supposed to be just a regular version of a screenshot, right, of a text exchange. So we don't know that, right? So there's a lot. There's a lot. And remember, we also have to figure settings. Like we may all have different settings on our phone, right? Now, there's limits. So I'm also being a little fictitious because I do know that there are limitations. Yannetti also, by the way, during the cross-examination of Allie, which we're going to get to, brings up some interesting points also about ways that you could make changes to dates and times on your phone very easily, though I don't think that's what we have here. Now, I saw earlier, I tried to catch her, but she went very quickly. I saw that Aussie Insider was in the chat. And I suspect if I was speaking with her, I would offer, hey, if my dad is Matt McCabe and he's so advanced in his software or programming and technological savviness, right? Would I be the one to make the changes to this, whatever I need to? Or would I just be like, hey, dad? Or would actually what more than likely would have happened is my dad would have spoke to his dad, and these two would have told us, hey, take this photo and if at all, send this to your mom, Jen. Do me a favor, text this photo I'm about to send you over to your mom, Jen. Right? Like, would they have really been in it directly? Now, someday we might find out. I know Aiden had mentioned that he has a knowledge of conversations between Allie McCabe and Jennifer McCabe that may or may not be relevant to this discussion in any way, shape, or form. However, my guess is something this important, if it is fictitious, would not be in the hands of Colin. And after what we're about to see, certainly not in the hands of Allie either. So play with it. Take a look at this text on your own. Certainly, I mean, like I said, it takes 2 seconds to bring up the whole exchange. And you tell me what you think after you do some investigating. You know, feed it into whatever your favorite chat bot, your AI bot friend is, whatever, whoever you like, whatever you like. You know, let us all know what you find. We had some fun with this today. And as you all said, be cautious about just buying whatever AI tells you, because of course we have to take everything AI says with some grain of salt, with some awareness that it is not the final authority. Okay, so now I want to show you this testimony. Now, before I play it.
Could you please state your name and...
So in real time, like you guys know, right? Like we all saw this. How many times have I seen this testimony? Of course, like everything else with the Karen Reed trials, you know, you see it again, and then suddenly you're just looking a little bit differently, and somehow like you slow a video down like just the slightest amount, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what did they just say? That's kind of what has happened here. So you can't make it up, but I'm not going to be definitive about anything we see here. I want you guys to tell me what you think, because this is just, again, what we're being told and asked to believe. This is always important. You always have to keep in mind what we're being asked to believe, right? Because we're being asked to believe that these two who have known each other since they were born, they're in the same friend group, their mothers are best friends, they are They share first cousins, though they are not first cousins, but they share first cousins on their dad's side, right? Yeah. On their dad's side. Remember, her mom went to kindergarten with Brian Albert. There's more relationship closeness with these two families than words can communicate, while also Colin and her are not blood related, right? They are as close as two people could be without being related, basically. That's the bottom line. So, however, they're both, by the way, they actually have a number of other traits in common as well, as I think you'll be able to see pretty quickly here. Like, for example, they're both athletic, from what I understand, gifted athletes. That's nice. So there's that. Now, one thing I want to tell you about Miss Allie, who does a really good job. I will give her this. She's pretty good about, I think, okay, here's what I want to say this the right way. She's very aware of how she is presenting, and she tries to do what she was told. Number one, she tries not to move too much. So she's trying to keep her body language under control. She's trying to use less is more, right? So we're going to get a lot of correct and yes and no. She was definitely directed clearly, like, don't give too much information. Just let Adam Lally ask the questions. Wait for him to ask you the questions. Don't just start offering a lot of information. Okay, fine. But you might also notice that Ms. Allie is one of these folks who, when she's nervous or anxious, she, her face gets very, very red. Right? She's like the kind of person with the histamines where if she drinks some red wine, I'm guessing, it's like her whole chest gets red and her cheeks and her forehead. And she just, just how her body communicates stress or stimulation or arousal, whatever. We could talk about it in a number of ways. It's the autonomic nervous system as much as it is. It's outside of her control, is what I meant to say there. So we know she's nervous right out of the gate. It's very, very clear. And you're going to see it. She's nervous because she's trying to control her breathing. She's taking long, deep breaths. Her chest is going in and out. Her face is beet red. And you can watch her repeatedly, she doesn't have an Adam's apple. So what we see is notable swallows, but you have to be paying attention in order to see it. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at. Okay. So here we go. And remember, we're being asked to believe that these two innocent young people who were around 17 at the time of this incident were out with friends, just driving around, having fun on a Friday night. And she is called to pick up her pseudo cousin friend, Colin, because he's drinking and she's the designated driver on this night. Of course, because they always have a designated driver because they're the most responsible kids from Canton, Massachusetts, of any group that has ever gone through the town of Canton, Massachusetts, where nobody else is ever responsible. And their primary role models all drink and drive like it is their job. In fact, the only place in all of their testimonies where they are absolutely telling us the truth is that they don't think that Karen and John were drinking that much. Because that's a completely normal thing to do. Drunk as fuck and driving around at night from the bars is as normal as air is to breath to these people, but not to Colin and Allie, who are clearly the only two responsible people in the town of Canton, Massachusetts, right? Yep, that's right. That is right. Yes, that's right. That's right. Even our police don't think anything of drinking and driving and losing their, weapons on the job, but that's another story, right? So, yeah. So that's what we're being asked to believe, that these two very responsible young students were just out hanging out with their friends, and her pseudo cousin calls, texts, not calls, texts for a ride because she's the designated driver and she's just driving around waiting for people like her pseudo cousin to text to say, hey, can you come get me? I'm ready now. Come get me. That's what we're being asked to believe, just so you know. All right, so that's what's happening, and that's where we start. Here we go. Makes total sense. Absolutely normal, of course.
Spell your last name.
Allie McCabe, MCC, ABE.
And where do you live, ma'am?
Canton.
Oh, right. Okay. So here's what I want to try. I have asked myself for 2 years, why does this testimony, what's wrong here? And what you're going to see probably can best be summed up as overcompensation. This isn't the kind of testimony that you're going to feed into Veriscope and get like a perfect deception detection analysis the way you are with Brian Higgins, who's like the greatest deception detection witness the world has ever seen, or even Jennifer. This one is very different because, number one, we're really not asking her to give us very much information. And number two, she's not offering much. So we don't have a lot of baseline to draw from, and she doesn't give us a whole lot of information to analyze, right? So here's why this is going to sound, something is so off about this, and it's like, what is it? What is so off about this? So pay attention for these things. First, there is an effort to try to make what she's saying far more formal than is required. Like she's almost like the way a kid tries to pretend to be a grown-up. That's what you're going to you're going to feel that. Like she's trying to sound smart and formal. And I'm sure that, well, I don't want to say I'm sure. I don't want to guess. Okay. Number two, she's trying to make fewer mistakes by keeping her answers short. And sometimes that actually makes what she's saying sound very suspect because the answers are too short, right? In other words, she'll be asked a question when it's an open-ended statement question, when it's not a yes or no, and she'll say, correct. And you're like, wait, that doesn't fit. But Lally, of course, just flies right by it. So here's the point of that. She's more focused on not making a mistake than she is answering the question honestly, right? So, because if you're an honest witness, what are you more focused on? Giving the right answer to the question or making less mistakes? If your only job is like answer the questions honestly, that's your only job. Like that, there's no need to like be more formal or like sound smarter than you are. There's no need to speak less than you should, right? And then the third thing that you're going to notice, which is so bizarre, is the continual reduction of commitment in some places, but not in others. So that's what you're going to hear. And it's going to send off alarm bells, and you're going to go, why is this so weird? Like, I can't put my finger on it. And these are the things that are going to be causing that, in addition to many other things as well. Okay. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
How long have you lived in Canton?
Basically my whole life except first few months I lived in Stoughton.
And do you work? Do you go to school?
I'm a student.
In college, is that correct?
Yes.
And what year are you in college?
I just finished my sophomore year.
And
I know.
when living in Canton, who, if anyone, do you live in Canton?
My 2 parents and my 3 sisters.
So you're one of 4 girls, is that correct?
Correct.
And are you the oldest?
Okay, that's a great question, Zeta Zay. And I'm going to put a pin in it because something like that, put a pin in it. If I don't address it, ask it again because it's a really important question. It's a really important question.
So you're one of 4 girls, is that correct?
Correct.
And are you the oldest?
Yes.
And your parents, what are their names?
Matt and Jen.
If I could turn your attention to January 28th into January 29th, 2022. Do you recall those days?
Yes.
And do you recall what days of the week those were?
Friday and Saturday, I believe.
All right. So there is an example of an unnecessary reduction of commitment. She says Friday and Saturday, I believe. You know it was Friday and Saturday. You just answered the question. Why did you have to reduce the commitment on a question that you know the answer to, right? So that's just, it's a very, very basic example. And if she didn't do it throughout the rest of the testimony, I wouldn't have even brought it up.
And so on that Friday evening, starting with there, well, let me ask you this first. At that time, you were a high school student, is that correct?
Correct.
And where did you go to high school?
Canton High School.
All 4 years?
Yes.
And did you play any sports when you were at Canton High School?
Yes.
And what sports did you play?
Soccer, hockey, and lacrosse.
And so January, that would have been which sports season?
Hockey season.
So you're getting more and more red.
Respect,
See how red she's getting? See how she's getting not only burnt red across the cheek, but now look at her chest and her neck. It's coming like the histamines, right? It's like coming up. So she's, as this is moving forward, she's doing a good job so far, right? She's doing exactly what she was asked to do. Just answer the questions, right? Good job so far.
To the hockey, as far as that evening of the 28th, how did your evening start out, or what, if anything, were you doing first that evening?
It started.
Okay. Always important to pay attention to the question being asked. You know, when we listen to these testimonies, how much are we really, we're not listening like play by play, hanging on every word. Even myself, even when I'm listening to analyze it, a lot of times I'll get distracted for a second. I'm not really paying close attention. It's Adam Lally, so it's like, wah, wah, wah. But this one is the perfect example. So let's hear what he asks again. Let's listen to what Adam Lally's asking here.
And so January, that would have been which sports season?
Hockey season.
Now, with respect to the hockey, as far as that evening of the 28th, how did your evening start out, or what, if anything, were you doing first that evening?
So he's asking about
it started.
How did the evening start out, or what, if anything, did you do first that evening? That is the question. Okay. That was a cute comment.
Did with a team dinner at my house. The hockey team came over. We had dinner. Then I went to my sister's basketball game at the Canton High School. Then I was hanging out with 2 of my friends. We were driving around. Then the night ended with me driving Colin Albert home.
Okay. This is the perfect answer that you would just normally glaze right over. Like you would just skip. It's going to jump right past you. Except when you actually realize what just happened, it is the weirdest freaking answer. Wait, what? Like what, Allie? Adam Lally just asked you, how did your night start? So now I'm going to play it again and listen again. How did the night start? That's what he's asking. How did the night of January 28th into the night, which will eventually be the morning of January 29th, how did it start for you? This is the answer she gives. It's insane.
It started with a team dinner at my house.
Okay.
The hockey team came over. We had dinner. Then I went to my sister's basketball game at the Canton High School. Then I was hanging out with two of my friends. We were driving around. Then the night ended.
Look at her face.
The night ended.
Then she's reaching for what she's supposed to say. Then she's reaching for what she's supposed to say. Then she remembers what she's supposed to say.
Did with me driving Colin Albert home.
Then she glances back over at him for him to give her the thumbs up. Wait, what just happened? If that's not some kind of weird Jedi gaslighting trick, I'm not sure what is. You're asked a question about how the night started. She gives you the answer to that thoroughly and then says, and then the night ended with me bringing Colin Albert home. What? What just happened? What just happened? So what, Allie? What happened there, dear? What did your brain, did you, number one, forget what question was asked? Because you're going to learn. Possible. We're going to give her the very possible she got lost. Very possible. She forgot what the question was, or she remembers the rehearsed statement and decides at the weirdest moment, that's where she's going to throw it in. But she also skips over everything else that happened throughout the entire night. So she tells us the first three things she did, and then the night ended with her bringing Colin home. And in the middle, this is how we know neither of these things really are exactly what happened, because we get multiple one-sided shoulder shrugs. So she's got something in her mind to tell us in those spaces, but she skips over it. So this is really a rhetorical question, because we know that if you watch her carefully in that space, she does know what she wanted to say, but she decides, no, can't say that. No, can't say that. So the night ended with me bringing Colin home is where she goes. This is how her testimony begins. This is the first thing that happens after the very basic, I live in Canton. I grew up in Canton. What high school do you go to? Canton High School. Not even asked how she knows Colin yet. That's how early we are on in this.
As far as
what is wrong with
picking him up at certain places, on weekend nights, was that out of the realm of normalcy, or was that something that happened on occasion?
No, that's common.
So, and then this is Adam Lally. This is this piece of shit guy. This is what this man does. He's such a piece of shit. Adam Lally makes it sound like that was planned. No, it was totally planned for me to ask her a question about what'd you do? How did the night start? And she starts off talking about how the hockey team came to my house for pizza. Then she says, the night ended with me bringing Colin home. And then Lally, doesn't skip a beat, makes it sound like it was the absolute normal thing for her to say, and throws in a question to try to make it sound like it was a normal thing to say by bringing up a natural question about her relationship with Colin. He's such a scumbag. He's just the most disgusting human being. He really, really is. He's a horrible person.
You picking him up at certain places, on weekend nights, was that
right? So what is the question that he asks? As far as you picking him up on weekend nights, we don't even know who he is yet. This testimony, we're so early in this testimony, we don't even know about Colin Albert as far as Allie McCabe is concerned, because he hasn't even had a chance to ask a question about Colin Albert. She just jumps so far ahead because she's as nervous as it gets, and she doesn't. Let's be frank, right? That's what she would like for us to all. Okay, I did it. Can I go now? Right? Like my obligation here is done. And Lally, he's just so ready. You got to give him credit. He is a top-notch, like level 1, capital A scumbag, and he's pretty good at it. I got to tell you, he's pretty good at it. He's a pretty good scum. The way he just like snuck in that question to make it seem like, no, that was completely intentional, the answer she gave, which was completely irrational. And we all just buy it because we're like, okay, myself included. Believe me, I'm not being judgmental. This is it's how he does. And it's the reason why there was a mistrial, because this piece of garbage is able to find a way to smooth all of this illogical, absolutely absurd garbage testimony, just asinineness from all of these people, a screenshot of a text message that, let's be fair, looks like, my cat made it on a typewriter, right? But Bev accepts perfectly, right? And Lally makes us sound like the idiots for questioning it, right? This is like, it really, I've had it with these people, you guys. I've had it with these people. And now I've got to listen to their ridiculous friends on YouTube. Like, we're raising money for our friends. It's like, oh, are you, what? No, really though. Really. Because there's a crusade to end witness intimidation. Right. And all the money they make, any extra funds is going to go to stopping witness intimidation for once and for all. Right. Nope. Say that with straight face. Straight face. Nope. That's right. We're supposed to believe that. This is coming from Brian Albert. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah.
Out of the realm of normalcy, or was that something that happened on occasion?
No, that's common. He knew I was driving that night, so it's pretty common. Our friends, we always just drive each other around and stuff.
Without getting too much into it, as far as high school was concerned, particularly when someone was drinking, would they call and ask for a ride?
Correct, yes.
Rather than driving.
All right, so you see now Adam Lally has to shape this whole conversation by backtracking all the way back, right? He's got to find a way, and he does it. I mean, like this guy, I'm telling you, he's an impressive schmuck. He really is. He's got to find a way to take what she's saying as though it makes total sense, and without tipping the jury off that anything odd is happening, he has to then like go backwards in time to make this absurdity make sense. You got to give him credit. You really do.
And as far as you knew, was Colin drinking?
Which way?
At least at some point during that.
Which way? Because she does it both ways. It's a great question. What's up with their side gaze? On one so I guess what would be her left, right? So out her left eye is the jury. So what she's doing is like trying to see, like, what is the jury? Oh, it's so funny. It's a really good question. And ultimately, I think the answer is, I have concluded we are not dealing with like the world's most sophisticated group of people, right? And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm not even saying that tongue in cheek. Like, I mean it. Like, I don't think like Harvard wasn't calling for this one, and not that we all need to go to Harvard or even some B liberal arts school or any school at all. I'm just saying, I just don't think that like Allie is super sophisticated. So I think what is happening here is, out of the left eye, she's like, what is the jury looking at? And out of the right eye is mom or auntie or some relative or cousin. I can't remember the details on that day. We'd have to go back and look carefully at who's over in the O'Keefe clan that day. But the other side is looking over there, and at the prosecutors when Yannetti's on deck, right? But you'll see mostly, I think what you're referencing is a look to the jury. And it's like a look to see if they're looking at her. It's very weird. This kid she's
that why you needed
it's
to wrap
not.
it?
Yes.
It's a tough one
And
to take.
with respect
It really is.
to your parents,
Because it's not even like flagrant dishonesty with her. It's just she's a hard again, it's like I'm lost for words on exactly what I mean. That's why I'm stumbling. I don't want to say that she's not smart, but it's like a combination of variables, and a lack of sophistication is one of them. And it's coming across when you add the level of anxiety. I think she's just nervousness she's feeling, and she's trying to look so cool. So she's like deep breathing through her nose. So it's like all these variables that she's managing all at once and trying to act like she's the most calm, zen, like, that's why we're getting the crazy. And it is crazy. And we haven't even started this testimony yet. It just gets crazier.
Around this time that you're driving around and you're going to pick up Colin, did you have any idea where your parents were or what they were doing?
I knew they were going out after the basketball game, but no, I didn't know. I have their Life 360. They have mine, so.
Just want to point out something for later. She's asked by Adam Lally, do you know where your parents were at this time? She says, no, I knew they were going out after the basketball game. I have their Life 360 and they have mine. Okay, just pointing it out.
I wasn't sure though.
And as far as the Life 360 goes, is that something that...
Oh wait, I'm rewinding it.
Any idea where your parents were or what they were doing?
I knew they were going out after the basketball game, but no, I didn't know. I have their Life 360. They have mine, so I wasn't sure though.
And as far as the Life 360 goes, is that something that that you sort of keep track of them or they keep track of you?
It's more them keeping track of me.
Now...
There's the look.
Do you know approximately what time it was that you...
Right, did everybody see the look to the left? Like, she's trying to gauge, like, what is the jury thinking about the fact that I just laughed about the 360 app, right? Do you see what I mean? It's just like a self-consciousness. That's the word. Thank you. That is what I'm experiencing. Self-consciousness. She's very self-conscious right now. That's what that like, it's ick. There's something icky about watching this.
Me.
Now, do you know approximately what time it was that you first get sort of a Colin reaches out via text to pick him up?
I believe it was around midnight. I'm not exactly.
Okay, let's just, we're going to play it a couple times. So the question is, do you remember what time Colin reaches out to pick him up?
You first get sort of a Colin reaches out via text to pick him up?
I believe it was around midnight. I'm not exactly sure exact, but around midnight. I believe it was around midnight. I'm not exactly sure exact, but around midnight.
No, that was a normal statement. That was an absolutely normal thing to say. I heard her there. Did everybody else understand what the hell she said there? Because the first thing you see is somebody trying to be, again, overly formal in their presentation. Like, well, I think it was probably around midnight, so that's the weird thing you see first. The first thing you see is some weird need to overcompensate for what a fucking normal 17-year-old girl would sound like who plays hockey with her friends on a Friday night. I don't know. Like, what would be the normal way you would answer this question? I guess it was around midnight. Like, who knows? Who cares? But what I wouldn't say is, well, so we get this. I don't know if it's because she wants to oversell her testimony, if she wants to seem more credible, if she wants to seem, here's my guess. This is what they mean when they say consciousness of guilt. Guilty people, they overcompensate because they're guilty. So they try to sound more, well, they try to sound more what they think honest would look like. But she doesn't know what honest would look like. And so instead, it comes across like overly formal or like proper, but she also doesn't know what that looks like. So it is a cringe testimony from top to bottom. And that's before we factor in the fact that she can't get a word out. After she says around midnight, whatever comes next is in English. And she then like just laughs because it's absurd. And she kind of knows it. And I'm glad she had the presence of mind, at least to kind of laugh at herself for a second. But that then quickly goes away. It's replaced by like fear and then over pay attention to Lally. Because she knows, like, when you get stuck, just pay attention to Lally and he'll get you through it. Yeah, it's important. That is important. Because I think somebody asked a question about this a few minutes ago. It wasn't exactly this question, but this is really the answer. They must have been told at some point, all of them, by whoever, don't worry. Like, it's not that serious, right? Because whether it was the cops they were told, or the DA, or the DA's office, or the judge, or all of the above, these people were given the impression that they didn't have to do very much, that they were going to be taken care of. And I think that's why there's a lot of outrage. Like Brian Albert is outraged because they stopped protecting him. That's like code for they told me that we were going to be okay. And it's not okay because people like us just won't shut the fuck up about how guilty they are. You know, it's like that. That's what I think. It's my guess, at least about what they were told. And, you know, Emily C. said this to me earlier. She's absolutely right. They have gotten away with it. So, you know, hell with what I'm saying because they have gotten away with it.
Did you know where he was when he asked you to pick him up?
Yes, the Albert's house, 34 Fairview.
See, here's that formal. Yes, the Albert's house, 34 Fairview. It's your uncle's house. Like, it's, yeah.
A house that you're familiar with?
Yes.
And what, if any, relationship do you have to the people that live at the Albert's house?
My aunt and uncle and my cousins.
So Brian Albert is your uncle, correct?
So he's asked, what relationship do you have to the people in the house? Here's an example of how she doesn't actually complete the answer to the question. Like, this isn't even really a complete answer. So you see what I'm saying? She overshoots the mark by being like overly formal, or completely undershoots by not really answering the question because she doesn't want to get it wrong. She doesn't want to say more than she has to and say it wrong, especially after the 2 times she already opened her mouth, she screws it up. The first time she's asked a question by Adam Lally about, you know, what was the first thing that you did that night? And she ends up telling us about how she brought Colin home. She's like, well, we had pizza and then the hockey team came over and then we went to the basketball game. And then she thinks about it. Oh, yep. I wound up bringing Colin Albert home 7 hours later after the hockey game and basketball. It's like absurd. Then the second time she tries to say that the text came around midnight and basically doesn't even get like English out. It's like the word midnight comes out and she botches it. It's like gibberish, like, and then she kind of giggles. So you see now she's afraid to say anything at all because she's botching this. And to her credit, she is. That's exactly what's happening.
Correct.
Paul Albert is your aunt.
Correct.
How is she your aunt?
I can't with her.
Father's side, mother's side?
My mother's sister.
And Colin Albert, obviously last name Albert, he's related to people at Fairview as well.
Correct.
That's sort of on the other side of the family.
Correct.
Oh, wait.
And do you know
right.
what?
Who's Colin Albert again? Wait, did you see how Adam Lally, this stuff, you can't, So now we have now seen, I don't know how long she's been on the stand, 5 minutes. Now, 5 minutes in, Adam Lally has to backtrack and be like, oh, right. I knew you were here for a reason. There's this guy named Colin Albert. Oh, yeah. Right. You're here to give us his alibi. So he's kind of important. I'm just saying, we might want to mention him before you tell us about how you're taking him home. Just a thought. Just a thought. But again, jury doesn't notice any of this because Snake Lally snakes it all out, smooths it all out. So we don't even notice. We're just like, yeah, okay. She's cute. That's myself included. Like I said, I'm not being judgmental. This is kind of what they're banking on. We all do. And it's human nature. When you've been sitting for 60 witnesses and listening to Adam Lally drone on at the same tone, never changes his tone, just asking boring question after boring question, talking about snow and snow accumulation over and over again, looking at the house and the pictures of the snow, right? Like he's just banking on all of us, our eyes glazing over, not listening to a word he says.
As far as your conversation with Colin, do you know why he was over at that house that night?
It was little Brian's birthday.
And so he had gone over for that purpose and you went by to pick him up?
Yes.
And do you recall where you were or sort of who you were with when you first get that text or communication from Colin to pick him up?
Yes, I was at another friend's house. After I drove Avery and Danielle home, I went somewhere else.
After?
You drove the two friends that you were with earlier home and then you went somewhere else?
Yes, I believe, yes.
So this is interesting. And if I were there, if I had my way, I would say, what happened after? I want to know more about this after space because you seem awfully reluctant to want to mention anything about it. So what happened, dear, after? What was going on in between when you rescued the dog at the police station and you brought your schmuck cousin, allegedly, home? Because you're the designated driver, the Saint Allie, Saint McCabe, whatever. So let's hear this again because I love when she does the I believe thing. It's so weird. It's just so weird.
Were or sort of who you were with when you first get that text or communication from Colin to pick him up?
Yes, I was at another friend's house. After I drove Avery and Danielle home, I went somewhere else.
You drove the two friends that you were with earlier home and then you went somewhere else?
Yes, I believe, yes.
Is at that point did you get a text from Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe.
Now,
yes.
Do you recall whether or not the information that you had as to where Colin was that night, is that something that came via text as well, or was that a phone call or some other type of communication?
I knew he was there. Could have been a.
Well, so Candy, how do I say this? Candy on 9971. They can't either. They're not handling it well. They're not handling it well at all. None of them. Remember how, so that's like what the defensiveness is about, right? They're not handling it well. They're all falling apart. Their kids are falling apart. I mean, Colin is so paranoid. He can't even go outside without a hood over his face, head. The girls allegedly, from what I have heard, again, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard some of these McCabe daughters have anxiety issues. You hear Nicole publicly talking about how she's so sad about what's happened to all of us. I think that's probably all true, and I don't think it's getting better. I think it's probably just getting worse, and it's just going to get worse because now the O'Keefe family decided that they were going to bring this civil case, right? This is before Karen drops a federal lawsuit. They had decided all along they were going to try to bring a case against Karen Reed, which was already going to require all these people have to give more information, more statements, right? Go on the record again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Some more. Now we have the federal case. So now we have another situation where they're all going to be deposed again. Now, I know some of that's going to be crossover depositions or whatever. They're going to try to do it expeditiously or in a way that is resource cost effective. But they're screwed. I mean, can you imagine how stressful it would be for any of them if they're in this position? Because I'm kind of like, I died when I think this was Emily C and Loophole Lawyer together doing a show where Vince like stares at the camera and he's like, Brian Higgins, I am with malice saying that you killed John O'Keefe. And he says it over and over and over again. Please sue me, right? Like, now he's a lawyer, so it's funny, but the whole point is like, these people, they don't have defamation cases because the more information you have on this, the harder and harder it is to see any path at all but guilt. And I still see new information all the time. And I've been looking at the evidence like the way you guys are, but even like all the way in, zooming all the way in. And then you see a screenshot of a text message, which you didn't even think to look at. And you look at it and you're like, is that typewriter font? Is that different font than the font just below it? Like, does that happen on an iPhone? Like, maybe it does, but I don't know. I don't think that's how mine looks. It's like, that's what I'm saying. And to the question earlier, I think that they really just didn't think they were going to get caught. Maybe that's the wrong way to say it. They knew nobody was going to investigate it. And still they are right. Nobody apparently has, or nobody interested in seeing justice anyway has. And so if nobody's investigating, then who cares whether you put a screenshot of a text message or metadata or, they thought Karen Reed was going to plea out. They had no idea that a guy named Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, that these two were going to work together, that they were going to tap on the shoulder of a guy named Turtle Boy, and that the three of them were going to essentially, mount a defense the size of a small army that was going to upend everyone's lives the way that they did. Yeah. So that was a lot of talking. I know I can do that sometimes.
Phone call. I'm not sure.
So were there a variety of different ways that you would have communicated with Colin around that time?
Yes, there's other apps as well. Yes.
See what I mean? Yes, there's other apps as well. Yes. Which, by the way, is lying, because what she's trying to do is explain or account for the fact, which we will get to later at a different time, why it is that in the days immediately following the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, her and her very best friend and pseudo cousin, Colin Albert, do not text at all for like almost 6 weeks or 2 months or something? Not a single text. So what she's doing here is she's planting evidence by trying to tell us that, well, we also Snapchat, right? So maybe it was a snap. I love when Lally says the word snap. Like, what a disgusting human being you are. Horrible person, sorry. Just is. It's just disgusting. This is the way you treat this man's family? Like, you delude them into thinking that this is what really happened to their son? That's acceptable behavior? I'm sorry. It's so upsetting. Anyway, I'm going to keep going and shut up again.
I'm sorry, you said through apps as well?
Yes.
And what kind of apps were they?
For example, like Snapchat.
Right.
So you had each other's
planting
Snapchat
evidence with your
phone number
testimony.
information, Call, text, snap, could have been any of those things.
Yes.
Now, when you get that communication from him to come pick him up, about how long a period of time was it from the time that you get the text from Colin to the time that you arrive in the area?
I'm not sure.
And you're familiar with that home at 34 Fairview, right?
It's interesting. So any time where she's asked a question that another person could verify. She doesn't know and she doesn't remember. It's so weird. Like, what time? How long? How long were you sitting there waiting for Colin? How long before, after you texted him, did he walk outside and get into the car? Where in the car did he get in? Did he get into the, which was my favorite question that Lally has to then find a way to, these two morons can't even remember that Colin gets into the passenger side of the car. They're both, this is how dishonest these two are. Just think about this, okay? You're not even willing to remember that when you got picked up by your cousin, allegedly, that you got into the passenger side of her vehicle. Like, you have to say you don't remember? You can't even lie. You guys can't even agree to lie about the fact that there was nobody else in the car when you got picked up. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the other thing about these people. And this is why I am saying I think they were given a lot of reassurances by law enforcement and local, politicians or the DA's office, whoever, because they just do such a terrible job of collaborating. Like, they really do. If your life is on the line the way that theirs really are, like, you fucking get with your cousin and you drill down on the answers to these questions. You do not just like haphazardly, like, kind of send your parents a text. Do you know what I mean? But these morons are so comfortable with they feel very safe. They think that the judge is going to protect them. They know the judge is going to protect them. They know that Adam Lally is going to protect them. They know that Michael Morrissey is going to bring in a Hank Brennan and he's going to protect them. They know that the Canton PD certainly isn't going to investigate them. And they're so comfortable and confident in that knowledge that these two idiots don't even discuss, geez, was there anybody else in the car? Or should we mention, if there was other people in the car, we're going to mention them. We're not going to mention them. Did your ass get into the passenger side of my car when I picked you up or not? Nope, not these two. Which is the other reason why I say I don't think they're the sharpest group. Just saying.
Correct.
Place you've been to countless times before, is you're related to the people that don't.
Correct.
And do you recall from where you were coming from, as far as how did you come to Fairview? Would that have been on the Chapman side or the Cedar Crest side, or how did you come?
I don't remember.
Of course she doesn't remember.
And when you get
were you going up the hill, honey, or coming down it?
Park at some point, correct?
Correct.
And where in relation to the house?
This girl.
I believe in the driveway on the left side. Not entirely sure. I just believe that.
Wait, no, time out.
And when you
can we hear that again? You can't even. Oh my God. This is what I mean about this statement. This testimony is like my favorite. It's starting to quickly like shoot to the top of my absolute favorite testimony of any of the witnesses across both of these trials, because this one, it's like, what is going on here? It's like you walked into the Twilight Zone. You're like, what is happening? I'm sorry. I know I'm like losing it. It's because, I get so angry at these people. Like, what? I take it personally at this point, right? Like, what is going on here?
Been to countless times before.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh my God.
Correct.
And do you recall from where you were coming from, as far as how did you come to Fairview? Would that have been on the Chapman side or the Cedar Crest side, or how did you come?
I don't remember.
And when you get to the home, you obviously park at some point, correct?
Correct.
And where in?
By the way, how do you know that you parked if you don't remember where you came from? Is it because you don't remember the names of the streets, or because you really don't remember how you came upon the house And if you don't remember how you came upon the house, then how do you remember how you got into the place where you parked? How do you even know you parked at all? How do you know you weren't at the neighbor's house? I don't know. Just a
Place in
question.
the house did you park?
I believe in the driveway on the left side. Not entirely sure. I just believe that.
I'm not entirely sure. I just believe that. I just believe. I don't know.
And when you arrive, what, if any, communication did you send to Colin?
Oh,
I texted him saying here.
And after you texted that to Colin, he comes out of the house, is that correct?
Correct.
And when he comes out of the house, about how long a period of time was it from the time that you texted him here to the time that he comes out to the car?
I'm not sure. A few minutes.
And in the area around the time that
It's funny. See, this is one of those things where she's like, I'm not sure. A few minutes, because she doesn't know. What is Colin going to say?
you arrive on Fairview Road, what, if anything, do you recall in regard to the weather, or what was it doing at that?
I believe it was starting to snow. Nothing crazy.
As far as accumulation, what, if anything, did you observe at that time?
Lights on in the house. That's it.
As far as the snow was concerned, was it starting to sort of stick to the ground?
I don't remember.
Okay, so here's another. So she doesn't know or didn't hear. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She clearly doesn't know what the word accumulation means, or she didn't hear the word accumulation, because again, she's jumpy. She's very jumpy. She's so jumpy. She's anticipating the questions and then she's answering preemptively, like the whole time, right? That's why the first question she's asked, she hears him ask a question about the first thing that happened, but somehow talks about bringing Colin home. So here, oh, it's funny. I'm sorry. So here. Wait.
As far as the snow was concerned, was it starting to...
So she, no, I'll let you hear it again. Listen carefully, because it's so easy to miss, but because it took me forever to realize she doesn't, why is she saying that?
At that time.
Lights on in the house. That's it.
Lights on in the house. That's it. So she expects that Adam Lally is going to ask her a question about what did she see at the house? What did you see when you when you were waiting for Colin? Oh my God. When you're waiting for Colin outside, sitting in that driveway that you don't know how you got to, waiting for Colin to come out, what did you see? That's what she thinks he asked. What he actually asked was, of course, what was the accumulation of snow on the ground? So she gives us information that he didn't ask for. Again, she makes a mistake, right? She screws up again. And the reason why this is important, not just absurd, is because this is also at the exact same time that Colin tells us that he's coming out of he's walking out because he just, I'm not going to play it now, but I will play it at some point soon. And in a video I just dropped, it was in there. You can see like back to back their stories interchangeably. And the question is, right, Colin says, he sends her the text, I'm ready to go home now. And she's like, okay, I'm here, and she even does the inflection when she tells us about it. So then he's like, all right, I gotta go now. And he like gets up and he goes to walk out of the house, out of the family room door next to the garage, right? And as he's walking out the door, who does he see? He sees his Uncle Bry and Auntie Coco. The only problem with that is we just found out from Dear Allie that Allie didn't see them because Allie didn't see anything of interest. She just saw lights on, right? And the funny part about that is it doesn't sound like Adam Lally had any intention of asking her that question, probably for the very reason that he knows she's going to screw it up and not give us the answer she's supposed to, which is, oh, while Colin was walking outside, I saw my aunt and uncle too. Right? Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. So she does screw it up. And you see what are you following now what I'm throwing down with what's going on with this kid? The whole testimony is an overcompensation for what we technically refer to as consciousness of guilt. It's not that though she is overtly dishonest throughout, it's not so much the overt dishonesty that sinks her. It's that she can't just answer like a normal person a question. She either has to completely sound overly formal, right? Like, so the way none of us would ever speak, or she can't give us any answers at all, except for yes, no, or correct, because anytime she says anything but those things, she can't get a word out. She screws it up. She messes it up in one way or another. And yes, now many of us infamously remember the part of her testimony where she eventually says inadvertently or, unwittingly, well, Colin wasn't here at the house when John was here. She accidentally utters that statement. Now, we're not going to hear that here because it's not relevant to this particular screenshot of a text message. But it seems in hindsight, because that's the big moment where she then quickly melts down right after that she's melting down as a reaction to the stress of that statement. But actually, that statement is at the end. That's at the very end of the testimony. I think that comes out, if I'm not mistaken, on redirect with Adam Lally, because that's when the judge is like, nope, Yannetti, you open the doors. The door's been open. So he tries to object to the whole thing about, everyone's harassing us and we get all these threats. And she starts crying about school, how people are calling her school. And that's when the tears start. But to me, that breakdown is actually started way back at the very first sentence that she utters. Like, this whole thing is a disaster. And it really is. And I'm not just saying that, to be exaggerative, from her first person perspective, what was my job? What was I supposed to do? I think she was just way overstressed. This poor kid probably had no business ever being brought into this. It's a disgrace that she ever had to testify at all, actually. A tragedy that these stupid children got involved in this disaster, but that's why I think she breaks down, because of the stress right from the beginning. I mean, she can't even get question, like the fourth question in, she's unraveling. She really is. So we can go through this. I mean, we can go through line by line the entire testimony, which really does look just like this. And I can point out to you all the ways that she is a freaking disaster, but man, is it painful.
As far as the snow was concerned, was it starting to sort of stick to the ground?
I don't remember.
So you text Colin shortly thereafter he comes out, is that right?
Correct.
Do you recall, you're familiar, obviously, as I've asked you a couple times now with the house. There were two doors in the front of the house, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do you know which of the two doors Colin came out of?
No, I'm not sure.
And when he came down, he came over to...
Can we talk about this? She doesn't know which door Colin comes out of. Colin Albert, the two of them have probably been at 34 Fairview Road in their short lives to this point more times than they could ever even begin to try to count. And in all those times, based on the little I know about Colin Albert, I know Colin Albert doesn't use any door but the family door. The only door that kid has ever gone in and out the entire time that he has been alive on the planet, going in and out at 34 Fairview Road, it's the family room door. That's the only door. Okay. But she can't even be sure enough to tell us that he came out that door, because she doesn't want to get it wrong. You see what I'm saying? So sad. So sad. Like, this is a layup. This is a layup. This question, any one of us could answer this question. Any one of us, anyone who's ever even like spent 3 seconds of their lives on this case could answer the question, which door did Colin come out this night? If he came out of the house at all, according to her, but she can't even give us the answer. And you want us to believe that you picked up your cousin. Like this, the more I'm watching this now, I'm starting to wonder if she picked him up at all. Like, I used to believe prior to right now that she did pick him up, but she picked him up later, closer to like 12:37, 12:40. But based on her unwillingness to even answer the most basic, asinine, simple layup of a question, now look in her eyes right there, that makes me think, you know what? She probably didn't pick him up at all. That's why she doesn't want to tell us where. That's why she won't say, where in the car did he get into the car? She won't tell us, did he get into the passenger side? Did he get into the back seat? Was there 3 other people in the car? 2 other people? Was it just you and him? Which door did he come out? What was going on? You know, how long did it take for him to come out? What did he say when he got in the car? Was he bleeding when he got in the car? Was he breathing? Like, was he drunk? What was going on? She won't say anything. And that's why, because she doesn't want to be locked into something that she knows that they can prove.
The car, correct?
Yes.
And you're in the driveway?
Yes.
He gets into what part of the car? Front passenger seat?
Yes, I believe.
Yes, I
And
believe.
from the time that you, so when you leave from there, where is it that you went?
His house and then my house.
You dropped him off at his house
Wow.
and then you went home?
Wow,
Correct.
wow.
Now, Ms. McCabe, I'm
Wow,
going to
wow,
take
wow.
you back just to a little bit from where we had left off. When you arrived at
Unbelievable.
the residence at 34 Fairview Road, you pulled into the driveway, is that correct?
I believe so.
And obviously, on that date, you were familiar with the types of vehicles that your parents drove?
Yes.
And did you see any of your parents' vehicles at the home when you pulled in and parked in the driveway?
No.
And when you got to the
Got a
house, at
straight
any
answer.
point, did you exit the car or go inside the house?
No.
So you texted him that you were there, you stayed in the car, and he came out.
Yes.
And when Colin came out to the car, what, if any, observations did you make of him in regard to his sobriety, as far as what, if any, observations did you make in respect to that?
Normal.
Didn't seem overly intoxicated to you?
No.
And
Did you hear that? Did you hear okay, let's time out. Take a time out. Let's take 5. Okay. She's asked. I mean, this is so obvious now. I can't believe I didn't see this till right now. So she's asked, like, as per Colin's level of intoxication, like, what were your observations of him as he gets into your car when you pick him up, right? What is the answer that she gives? What does she say, everybody? One word. Normal, with a shoulder shrug. Normal. Okay. Well, that doesn't actually answer the question at all, does it? Because in order to be able to answer the question of what was his level of intoxication, based on everything I know about Colin, I'm guessing he was pretty fucked up then. And maybe could have been like, I don't know, just had a horrible, terrible fight with somebody in a house, because the way it appears to me, normal for Colin Albert, he's drunk, really drunk, sloppy drunk, and threatening people drunk. That's what normal looks like. So if that's what you meant, okay, got it. Probably not very good for you or him. Guessing that's not what you meant, but you didn't tell us anything but one word: normal. Okay. Innocent people that aren't lying or hiding shit don't act this way. They don't testify in a court of law like this, and they're not this afraid to say anything at all, so much so that the answer to the question of how intoxicated was Colin, the answer is normal. Does anybody else see this? Like that, you know how easy it would have been? I mean, okay, I've had a lot of time, effort, energy, space to think about what's happening right now, but you know how easy it would have been to nail her to the wall on that question? So wait a minute, Miss McCabe. Let's go back to the level of intoxication of your cousin Colin, or sorry, best friend since childhood pseudo cousin Colin. You were asked by Mr. Lally about his level of intoxication, and you told us he was normal. Do you want to elaborate on that for us, please? Because the last time we saw him, normally, he was threatening people in a video like these guys called the Advantage Boys, right? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Again, maybe I'm nuts. I must be nuts. I'm losing it. I am losing it. So I think I answered the question about that, hopefully. I wanted to go back to the 360 app question. So here's the thing that's really funny about the app, the Life 360. So, and we're not going to get to it in this conversation because it's later on. It comes back. It's so much later in the discussion about the Life 360. You know, at the end of cross-examination, the very last thing that David Yannetti brings up, he does a really good job of cross-examining her, but the last thing he brings up is this weird data about the Life 360 app on her phone, which says, she tells us, she goes, so absurd. So she tells us that she's like home in bed by 12:30 after having gotten her cousin at 34 Fairview, then brought him home, then gone to her house. But there's these trips on this Life 360 app, and the times are off on them, definitely. So something is wrong about the way the data shows up. But who knows? Because if we're taking that off of, cell phone extractions, God only knows where that came from. I don't know. But according to the Life 360, she's leaving the house, driving through the home circle, and she's not back until like 1:30 in the morning or something. And the funny thing, her and Lally decide that the thing that is the big tell about the Life 360 data that invalidates whatever the claims are on the app is that it's reminding her to connect to Wi-Fi. Well, if you're a parent and you have a child who's younger and you're keeping track of them, then you already know what I'm going to say. But the whole point of a tracking app is not for when they're in your home with you, when they're connected to the Wi-Fi, or even at the school where there may be Wi-Fi, although they also hopefully are not on their phones on Wi-Fi at school, whether there is or isn't. The whole point of the Life 360 is to be able to track them in between when they're going to and from places, right? And let's think about it. almost always, how often, what percentage of the time when you're going to and from places during the times when you would need to be able to track your child, how often are they connected to the Wi-Fi during that time, right? Almost never. All of that time is cellular, because the whole point is they're not near the Wi-Fi. They're on the move, right? You're tracking them to and from places, like they're walking to a friend's house, or maybe they're driving to a friend's house with another friend if they're a little older, like, Allie McCabe's 17 years old or whatever, right? So this whole notion that like, oh, it was, the data, it was somehow coming up short in terms of accuracy because it wasn't connected to Wi-Fi, that didn't make any sense, because the whole point of the app is that it's not connected to Wi-Fi. That's the whole point, right? Is to track where they are moving to and from. So there's something fishy about the Life 360. I don't think we have enough information to be able to discern what it is. But the ridiculous part about it is that the whole time, like, she's even referencing it like it's this mainstay, this thing they rely on. But then when it's called into question where she was at 1:30 in the morning on that day, all of a sudden Life 360 is like the most unreliable thing in the whole world. And we better look at the fact that she's not connected to the Wi-Fi, and that's why it's wrong. I mean, it's like everything about Allie McCabe's testimony, guys, is garbage. And not garbage. I say that a lot. I know I do. But it's for different reasons than everybody else. Right? Like Brian Higgins, obviously, he just gives us, it's one of my favorite testimonies because we get a lot of information from him. This one, like I said, she's so afraid. It's really not what she says, it's how she says or doesn't say what she does or doesn't say. This testimony, what is so clearly evidence of guilt, is the way that she is carrying herself, the way she either refuses to answer anything beyond a yes, no, or correct, right? Or the reduction of commitment, even though what she's saying is so insignificant. It's like, did Colin get into the passenger side? Or, did you pull into the left side or the right side? The left side, I believe. Look to the left. Are the jurors watching me? It's like, whoa. Yeah, don't take acid and watch Allie McCabe's testimony, anybody, because you won't come away feeling very good. Promise you. This one is like ick city. At least it is for me. So what do we learn from this? Not much at all. We don't learn much at all. That's what we learn. We learn not much at all. We learn, what I would say is that the screenshot of a text message that these two try to put forth as though it is legitimate evidence of anything is very, very, very shady. Now, I already know you know that, so it's not like I'm telling you anything new. But as I already said, check it out. Take a closer look. Ask yourself, what is shady about this screenshot of a text message? Why doesn't it look right? Right? Now, there's one other thing that until tonight, I didn't even think about doing, because it wasn't clear to me whose text message we were looking at, whose screenshot. Like, in other words, it wasn't clear which of these people, whether it was Allie or Colin Albert, who submit the actual screenshot. Now, the one that we are looking at, though, has to have come from Colin, right? Because it has Allie's name on it, right? Is that true? Is what I just said true? Just don't watch this. Oh my God, don't watch this. It's so bad. Seriously though, I wonder, and I hadn't even thought about this until now. Have we ever compared the two screenshots? Has anybody ever done that? If there are two screenshots, I can't believe they're dumb enough to actually do that. I can't believe that they would be stupid enough to submit a screenshot from both of them. I just can't. However, if you know that that is the case, let me know, because we have, the reason I'm bringing this up is we have Allie saying that she is the one who sent a screenshot to mom. But I am looking at a screenshot here with her name on it, right? And in the blue is Colin, right? You can get me now, if easier. So this is supposed to be Allie. Okay, I'm driving people home now, right? Right? Maybe I'm tripping right now. Yeah, right. So this is Colin's text. This is his screenshot. Oh, that's so funny. How did I not even realize that till right? Is everybody following me? Oh my God, you guys. You can just, yes. Okay, I'm checking my email right now. Hold on. We have a side-by-side of the two of them. I'm looking right now. It's just too funny. Oh my God, it hurts. It hurts. It like hurts to laugh. Where is it? Okay. I'm looking right now. You know what? I'm going to bring it up on my computer. It'll be easier and it'll be faster and a bigger image. Love you guys. Okay. You guys are the best. Oh my God. You guys are amazing, by the way. Even in just like the last 10 hours, there's like, evidence. People send me evidence. And it's all awesome and all helpful. Okay. My email like kind of is slow also to update. So let me put this in the, where are you? Where'd you guys go? My email is like slow to update. So let me put it in let me put the banner here so you can see what it is. There is my email. So if you want to send me anything, evidence ever, always do. Don't ever hesitate. Even if I've seen it before, who cares? Send it. You're always better off sending than not sending. Like I've said it from the very beginning, we are so much stronger together. And with all of our eyes on this, that's the way this whole thing is the story is eventually going to be told, right? Us all working together, not letting this stupid little shit go. That's the thing, right? Like, because it's so easy to let this stupid little shit go. It's so easy to let it go. It's so easy to just like know something sounds weird, but be like, well, it's probably nothing, or just not even think to question it, right? So I want to thank you all for so many reasons, but also because as I am thinking, I'm going through this tonight with this whole situation with Allie. Let me take this screenshot off the thing. So we have some work to do because now we have to look more closely at the two screenshots, right? Because now we have a problem. Now we have what I just showed you, which is Colin's screenshot. And that one is very shady, which I would just, that I sort of half expect from Colin. So now I want to know, like, wait, is hers the same? Is it different? Is it a completely separate image? Does it look exactly the same? Is it set up differently? Like, are the settings the same? Who the hell knows with these people? But
as his face or features or from what
when it comes to her and this testimony, truly, you guys, it was only in me going through this for this discussion tonight and really thinking, like, I'm putting myself in her shoes so that I would be able to speak on it as I'm talking about it with you guys. I never would have thought enough about it to be like, wait, why would I say that? Doesn't make any sense. Why would I say that? And then, like, really challenging it. Like, Sam, why would you say that? Why? That's not right. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? And then it starts to be like, okay, that's why I would say that. That's why I would say that. So because of you guys and my desire to want to be like really sure I know what I'm saying to you before I say it, now I think I can go back and completely put together what the hell this whole testimony has been about from the start, because I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is going on? Why is she saying that? None of this makes sense. This just doesn't fit the model. It doesn't fit the mold. It doesn't fit the other detection sort of, theoretical models of how this goes. Like, now I think I figured it out. Now I see it. And it's actually really, really simple. Yep, it's really simple. Yes, I will. Of course I'm going to do that. I'm going to Google both of their screenshots. Then I'm going to put them side by side. And, I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to clean them up a little bit so that we account for, whatever margin of error might come from however many times an image has reappeared on the internet versus its original form in terms of evidence. All the things, like, we're going to go through all of it. But with these screenshots, the important thing is, like, is it plausible? The question is, look, did this happen? Is this a real screenshot? Doesn't take long to realize that it could be doctored in a trillion different ways. And here's the question that I always come back to, right? I ask you this. If your credibility was, seriously, I'm really asking you this. If your credibility was on the line, like, it was your credibility, people are saying, like, you're a liar and we don't believe you and, like, you have no credibility, no integrity, right? Even just your integrity, forget about, like, murder and criminal shit, right? Just your integrity is being challenged. And the only way, and you could go back into your screenshots and that would save the whole thing. All you'd have to do was produce an actual screenshot that you once took, or not a screenshot, a conversation, a text conversation that you had with somebody. All you have to do is produce it. It's not incriminating to anybody. It's a stupid 30-second interaction with whoever, whenever. Would you, A, opt to take a screenshot of that interaction, or B, opt to produce credible, legitimate metadata any way that you could, because your integrity is on the line? Like, it's just too easy to doctor a screenshot. If it's my integrity is on the line and I want to put an end to this once and for all, I am going to do anything I can to prove my innocence, even if it's just, like, in the court of public opinion. Am I going to leave it up to a screenshot, a screenshot of a text message? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, would you even want to produce that as evidence in a court of law for anything ever, for any reason? Like, wouldn't you be like, please, let's pull the, like, legitimate metadata. Like, I'm taking this to a cell phone expert and begging them, give me, take it off my phone, please. Show everybody everything. I'm an open book. I didn't do anything wrong. Here's my GPS data. Here's my cell phone. Here's who I was talking to before, after, during. Here's my 10 friends I was with yesterday, last night, the day before, whatever you need. Not this group, though. No, of course not. Instead, I know we'll produce a screenshot of a text message. That'll solve it all. Yep, mystery solved. Oh, I feel relieved. It's just, look, I mean, that's the smallest. Nothing about any of this makes sense. But you would think that, like, as time goes on, maybe there would be like, maybe I'd have like a doubt would creep into my mind. I'd be like, Sam, you're talking about these people like being responsible for someone's death. This is really serious. These people are murderers. Like, are you sure? Like, the feds haven't come knocking down the door, so maybe you're wrong, right? Every day that goes by, and I even give a quarter of an ounce of energy to this case, that not only does that not happen, what happens is the opposite. What happens is I just get more and more sure and more sure. Like, I don't know how you could get more sure before you're so far on the line of shore that you're like swimming like, 100% is 100%. Like, there's nothing more than 100%, right? And because I didn't see it with my own eyes, to say something is 100%, like in science, scientists don't like to ever say that because we're like, well, I wasn't there and I'm not every person that ever lived. And it's not the same for everybody. I'm sure there's like a 0.000.1% person somewhere who's whatever, right? So every second that goes by, I just get more and more sure. Like, there's no question. Do you know what I'm saying? Not only did Karen Reed, I mean, come on. Like, I was sure that Karen Reed didn't do this 10,000 light years ago already. But these people, man, they are just like the level of consciousness of guilt. I don't know what's enough. Like, at this point, it's like, if I know what happened, so let's say I'm Jennifer McCabe, and I know exactly what happened. Maybe it's time to have a talk with that person and say, like, look, like, my whole family's taking the hit for you. Maybe you should turn yourself in. Maybe we should, like, stop the bleeding by, like, having the one person who really is responsible, or the two people who are really responsible for this murder. Maybe we should just, like, isolate them from the rest of the group so all of us can go on with our lives. Right? I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's something, like, if I were in this situation, that's probably what I'd be doing at this point. Like, I'd be saying, look, these people are not going away. And they're just getting more and more emboldened because the evidence points more and more in their direction. You follow what I'm saying? It's insane. It's insane. You guys. It's insane. Well, or maybe it's the two of them. Right? Like, maybe it's maybe it's them too. I guess, right? Like, to loophole lawyer's point, like, maybe it's just the two of them and they don't want to go down for this. Kind of like Anna Walshe was saying to her husband, like, just take the year, like, take one for the team. Yes, it sucks. You're going to, but a year's come and go quick. Just say you're guilty. Take a year so we can move on with our lives. But your unwillingness to plead guilty is, like, holding up all of our lives and, like, destroying our family. That's kind of what she was saying, right? Oh, so sad. So absurd. It's so upsetting. But until tonight, with you guys really watching this and, like, being so angry about it, like, just, like, it's incensing. Like, what do you think? Like, you know what I'm saying? You think that, like, we're just that stupid that we're going to be like, oh, she's so, God, what an honest young lady. She's so forthcoming and she's just telling us everything. She's just telling us the truth. Like, right? Like, it's crazy. Yes. Well, Brian Walshe is as guilty as they get. That is so, so true. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Yes. Right. So Samantha, it goes back to people thinking that a little white lie doesn't hurt anyone. I think it was more like, if we don't get it perfect, it's okay because they've got us covered. Like, they just never, like, when you live, like, I don't know where you live, right? I don't know where you live, Zay to say, if you're from that area or from in and around the Boston area at all or Massachusetts, but it's like a really, I don't want to say it's like completely, it's not isolated, but it's like it's kind of like an island by its onto itself, right? It's like a very closed community. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not that you can't go there easily and not that they don't have access or exposure to other people. It's not like being in, Nova Scotia, right? Where like 100 people live down this, as your neighbors for 1,000 miles or anything like that. It's a big community. It's just that like there's a closed feedback loop. So they didn't see that anything from the outside was going to come in and like ruin their ruin their plan. That's right. That's the way. So it's not that like a white lie doesn't hurt. It's like, well, no one's really going to be paying that close attention to what we're saying. And so all we have to do is like piece together, like with like, Elmer's glue, not with like, not with like construction glue, but with like Elmer's glue. We'll just like, we'll kind of piece together a story, and the local cops and the Boston cops and the commissioner and the chief of the local, like everybody's going to just cover our ass. So don't even worry about getting your statements right. They just didn't see, because it's such a closed community, they didn't see like this national monster in the looming, not national, international. They didn't see that. They didn't have the foresight to say, hey, we better get our ducks in a row. We better cross every T, dot every I. We better make sure, because this is a cop after all. We better be on our fucking A game because we're going to go up against it. And these people are not going to leave us alone, right? They're not going to leave us alone until they are sufficiently satisfied that we are being honest, telling the truth, and that we have provided the honest to God truth. Instead, we're getting, like, with a straight face, the man who all of us have come to know as Brian Albert Sr. Okay? Marine, Desert Storm, bounty hunter, like fighter, boxer, like the head of elite force in the Boston PD that captures the worst of the worst. This guy feels like he's being intimidated because of his obligation to testify as a witness in a murder case, and he wants to raise money, and the extra money that they raise will go to the cause of ensuring that witnesses are never intimidated again, because he feels intimidated. Like, this is straight as if this guy is telling you that, right? Now, I understand that is the very least of the issue, but this is the shit he's selling to like ABC, that not to us, because we all obviously know he's just as full of shit as they get, but like to Matt Gutman and like the major networks. That's the stuff he's selling to them. We already obviously know what a fucking lying piece of shit he is. Do you know what I mean? So back to the point, though, to the answer to your question, it's not that like a little white lie won't hurt. It's like we don't have to get our lies straight because no one's really paying that close attention anyway. And they just did not. They didn't like. You think Michael Proctor ever saw any of this coming? No, none of them. Never. They never thought that they would ever be called out for their taillight episodes of whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just didn't, I don't think that they were working really hard to like operate at a high level of sophistication because they just didn't think they were ever going to get called to task. And maybe they never do because they are in an insulated community. Like, I've been asked, why do you think the local feds haven't pressed charges? And my answer to that has nothing to do with their innocence or guilt. It has to do with politics. Because at the end of the day, you could be a federal office, but if you're located in and around Boston, Massachusetts, that is a local office. The same way that the Canton Police Department is local and the Boston Police Department is local. Doesn't matter if there's like the feds sign is on the wall, it's still local. Same people are in and around those communities, right? So all it takes is a knock on the door by any number of other law enforcement professionals or politicians, right? Who somebody owes a favor to call up that federal office and say, yeah, you know, we're gonna put the kibosh on this case. And that's what I think happened. That's why I have always said it's going to have to be a federal office outside of the state of Massachusetts that's going to have to bring these people down, because there's no way, if it's in the state of Massachusetts, they're not gonna go after them. Not even if, you know, they're just not. They're state of Massachusetts, they're not going after this group of people because it's too incestuous. It's too close. Sad. Very sad. Yeah, absolutely. The real little bridal, Biddle. Yes, absolutely. Michael Proctor did take the fall for everyone. And you know what's funny about that? I'm not sticking up for Michael. Please believe me. I'm not sticking up for Michael Proctor. But if you go back and you watch his testimony now, it's pretty interesting. Like, I mean, he lies the whole time. But you know who he lies for? He lies to protect other people. He lies to protect his bosses. These same piece of shit guys that threw him under the bus. That's who he's protecting, right? I mean, you know, I guess you could argue it's like the blue wall, the whole thing. It's the quintessential version of everything that, you know, the cliche about cops covering for other cops. But it's not to protect his ass as much as it is to protect other people. And you can really see it. I mean, he will not, like, Michael Proctor does not have the authority to, like, plant evidence. He would never step out of line and plant evidence unless somebody much higher up was like, you know, this is what we're doing, right? And he doesn't throw anybody, he doesn't give other names as far as we know. I mean, unless somebody knows different, right? Like he doesn't out other people, and he could have. That's why, I mean, he's the only one that has a motive to out other people, but he never would. I don't think he has the balls. In other words, you know, again, it's a very insular community. His parents did write on a Facebook post, you know, or was it? Yeah, the Alberts are our second family, right? Like, in other words, the Proctors and the Alberts are close. They legitimately are. So much so that Proctor's parents put that in a Facebook post. Like, these people are all very close. And that's, to me, the reason why they are still walking around. Nobody's in jail, and nobody's, at this moment anyway, seemingly at threat of being in jail. That must change because a Boston police officer lost his life wrongfully at the hands of these assholes. So somebody somewhere is going to have to find a way to take them down because they did this. But it is not going to be a Massachusetts entity. I would be very surprised. I just don't think, maybe in a few decades from now, but I just don't think that anybody in the state of Massachusetts is going to take them down. It's going to have to be a federal agency outside of the state. Somebody who has nothing to do with any of these people. That's my feeling. So, all right, you guys. You are the bestest in the whole world. Wait, let me ask this question. Sam, do you think Higgins is in on this new donation? It's a great question. You know what I always think of? No, not directly. I think we would know if he was. But you know what I always think of when I think about Brian Higgins? I think about, now maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'd have to ask Aiden directly. Maybe Meredith and Aiden had been driving around that cul-de-sac out in Cape Cod for like hours or minutes, but they were in Meredith's Jeep, right? Right? Am I right? Meredith and Aiden are out on the cul-de-sac by where Brian Higgins has his house on the Cape. This is my understanding. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, and I can ask Aiden too to correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of this sequence of events is the two of them are out there anyway, and they're like, hey, fuck it. We've got the address. Let's go see what his house looks like, right? They're not there to cause harm to Brian Higgins. They're just like curious. This is my understanding. Again, I could be wrong. Somehow, in the time between them making that decision and like turning around to come back, because it's like a cul-de-sac, right? Or at least a dead end. So they have to turn around and come around to go back past the house. He sees them and is running after the car. Like, does that mean that every time you walk out of your house, that you are looking at the people in the cars that pass by to see whether or not it's Aiden Carney and his girlfriend at the time? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy who has to be like, now I live in New York City, so this activity would be you would definitely be in if you were trying this on any level at all. Any paranoia whatsoever, you're in trouble. So maybe nobody ever turns down that street. Okay, you could argue that, and maybe that's true. But I mean, think about how long Brian Higgins has been waiting for that car to turn down that street and just so happened to be out there at that moment to catch him and see him and accurately identify that the driver or the passenger was Turtle Boy and then physically chase him. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. This guy, it appears to me, wants no part of any of this. He wants no part of any of this. I think he actually, this is what I'm an avoidant personality, period. So it would be my preference anyway to abscond. I'm in this situation. If somehow, by some strange sequence of events, this kind of garbage befalls me, somehow, God help me, if it does. But if it does, my instinct would be to do what Higgins is doing, which is shut up, go away, hide in my, fortress. And if I happen to see on the video camera that Aiden Carney is outside, stick the dogs on him, I guess. But I think that's essentially Brian Higgins' version of that. So no, I don't think he's involved with the funding or the donation or the PR stunt or any of it. And I don't think he'll ever be a guest on the show. Now, again, I'm happy to be wrong, but I very seriously doubt it. Because these people can't. By the way, just on that note, now, I'm not tracking this channel. I only see what you guys see. Like, I only see it if, Emily C posts something, or if Loophole Lawyer posts something, or if Aiden posts something. So if somebody in this movement posts it, I will see it. But if it's like them, whatever, I don't even know the name of the person, the YouTuber who is the proper channel title. I am honest. I don't know who the person is that is the host of this channel. I only know that it is a potential fundraising and defensive vessel for this group of friends and family of the defendants, the people that really killed John O'Keefe. And what I know about them is that their first guests, from what I understand, now I could be wrong, this is what I heard secondhand, were supposed to be Carrie Roberts and Chris Albert. Am I right about this? He teared up, Brian Higgins teared up, not just talking about his sister dying. He teared up talking about playing video games with John's nephew, about his sister dying, about John dying. I mean, about the John dying on the front lawn. At least three. I haven't seen his full testimony in a very long time, but at least three. By my count, at least three. Definitely his sister. Definitely talking about John's playing videos with John's nephew, which is consciousness of guilt. And definitely when he starts thinking about John losing his own life. He's a very sensitive guy, apparently. Apparently. So yes. Yeah, so the point is, I ask a question, one question. I leave you with this question because what do I know? But from what I understand, the two guests that were offered up as either having already happened or potentially happening to promote this channel were Carrie Roberts and Chris Albert. And as much as I hope that they either have or will do so, because more of them is always better than less. It's interesting, isn't it? Who was elected, who was put forth as folks who would be doing these interviews, right? Two people who have very little, if nothing at all to do with whatever happened on that night, right? I mean, worst case scenario, Chris Albert is there to pick up his son after the fact. But we know he's not there hurting John, right? He didn't stop it, but he's not there hurting John. Not in any way, shape, or form. And neither is Carrie Roberts. Now, she's a disaster after the fact, but she's not there to hurt. She was never there to hurt John in any way, shape, or form either. So, okay, great. These are the two that you pick? Come on. I mean, this is not really doing anything for your cause, is it? I mean, is it? Oh, the absurdity of these people. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. I would love to. I was going to say, I'd love to know what anybody thinks about with these folks, like how actually, but I already know the answer, and the answer is always the same. They're not looking at the evidence. They're just coming up with like overgeneralizations, like, well, Karen Reed is bitchy looking and she probably did it because she was drunk. I mean, it's like, okay, well, a lot of things could be, and we could all speculate all day, or we could look at the evidence in this case because there's lots of it, and that's maybe a better strategy, but who am I? What do I know? All right, you guys, with this all day, but I truly have to get to sleep because I've been sick and I don't want to be sick anymore. And if I don't get to sleep sometime sort of soon, I am going to be sick for the rest of my life. So I truly have to go to sleep soon. But we will definitely be back here at least Wednesday. What is next week? Are we at Christmas yet? No, we're not. We're not even close, right? We are at the 11th. We've got a long way to go. All right. Awesome. So there's a possibility, rumor has it, I'll let you guys know. You might see me Monday. You'll definitely see me Wednesday. And obviously, between now and then, everybody enjoy the rest of your night, your morning, your week. And I will see you all again soon. Be safe. Thank you so much for your love, your time, your support. And I will see you all back here soon. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night, good night, good night. Good night. Good night, good night, good night.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.